Lies? You think I would lie to you? How could you? How could you think that the blepper would be lying? But yeah, we are going to head straight back into Echo because, again, Lord and Behold, we have not played this game in forever. So I believe this was our last save, right? Yeah, this was. Ah! Heck, I got booped again. I'm glad to see my goat waifu again. Yeah, man. Like, I think we still got like a few hours to go on this pathway too, so we're gonna be here for a long while. Okay, so unlike Winds of Change, we don't have voice actors for this, so you're gonna be hearing my dumb voice this whole time. I think I took Cone. Thanks for the host, Bandit. Jelly, I'm doing good. I'm doing well. My voice is dumb, Mystic. My voice is very dumb. It's a dumb lipper voice. Okay, let's begin. I wake up groggily, my head throbbing a bit from laying on the stiff pillow. Like the last time I woke up, it takes me a while to realize where I am. And just like last time, I get a sinking feeling in my stomach when I realize where that is. I lay on my side staring at the wall in front of me. Wait, did we save last time? I think... I hope that we saved last time because I kind of remember that. Hey, don't slap the blepper! No slapping the blepper. Hey, Dragon Beats, how's it going? Welcome on in. The blep welcomes you. How's it going, buddy? Hope you're doing well. Suddenly, I feel an arm slide over my hip and I stiffen. Carl breathes into the back of my neck. Hey, there's Bandit's boy right there. I'm I'm doing good, not Bandit. I'm doing good, DJ. I'm doing really good. It feels great to be back on this. We are going to continue Winds of Change, maybe tomorrow, because originally, before Winds of Change, I was going to continue Everhood, and maybe like complete the game in New Game Plus, but we got 2 new games for us to try out, and we still got Echo, which is like a long, long way from being done. Carl, what's up? I shiver as he breathes against my neck. Nothing, just thinking. About a bunch of things. Carl suddenly squeezes my ass hard. I yelp and jump as he chuckles. Dude, what the hell? I whisper, trying to keep my voice down for a fear of Raven and Jenna hearing, especially Jenna. Carl doesn't say anything, choosing to nuzzle the fur on the back of my neck while he grinds his hips against me. I guess it's okay since we sort of made things official last night. Still, his behavior feels like it's coming out of nowhere. Are you okay? He chuckles. Yeah, everything's fine now that I've got your tight butt here in front of me. I turn my head and squint back at him. Are you acting like this because of James, or just because you're trying to be more confident? Carl gazes back at me with half-lidded eyes before he starts wagging his brows. I turn away again and lay my head on the pillow. Well, I think you're just trying too hard. Just let me come natural. Ah! Carl dives in again and starts nuzzling my neck, running his hands over my body. I writhe and try not to laugh, but it's no use, and soon I'm letting out full-on guffaws. Fox, hi! Hey, don't worry about it, buddy. I'm glad you're here with us. Wait, stop! He doesn't let up though, and it's not until we hear voices drifting up from downstairs that we do stop. It sounds like Raven, but I'm pretty sure he's talking to Jenna. I roll to my back in Carl's arms and turn my head towards him. We gotta keep it down. I'm reminded of our little situation when I see some flakes of blood around Carl's nose and the big splotches on his shirt. Lewd? There's no lewdness in here. We don't do lewd here. We don't do lewd. We are totally innocent mystic. What what's on Carl's wife beater? I the last time Jenna beat the shit out of Carl because he was in bed with us, so that might be it. I guess we're being a little loud. Yeah, how's your nose? Carl Oops, excuse me. Excuse me. Carl automatically raises a hand to touch his nose. I'm fine. Yeah, because Jenna last time we played this, she beat the shit out of Carl. Like she went up and full on like punched our boy here. So that's why like he's all bloody here. All right. I lay there in seconds for a few. I lay there in silence for a few seconds, feeling like the moment is kind of ruined. I look again at the walls, remembering that we should be looking for something instead of messing around like this. Looking for something? Not sure. Hey, should we be finding? We should be finding something, right? Huh? Carl lazily starts drawing circles on my chest with the finger. I mean, didn't that ghost, ancestor, whatever it was, tell you we needed to find stuff? Carl rubs his nose. Yeah, in the last place that we were in, at least. I guess it would be the same for this place, right? Unless if it was what we already burned up. Yeah. Carl lays there quietly, thinking. Well, I think I might have to try to look downstairs. You want to stay up here and look around? I guess. I want to get the other two to start looking too. The threat of Jenna hangs heavily in the air, and the way that we're both obviously avoiding it makes it all heavier. What about your ankle? I flex it around. The twinge is a lot less sharp now, though the stiffness feels even worse. I think I'm okay. Let me try it out. Okay. Carl holds on to me for a while longer, giving my neck one last nuzzle before letting go. I sit up and swing my legs over to the side of the bed. Pressing my foot to the floor, the twinge that runs through my ankle is minuscule. Standing up, I'm able to put some pressure on it before it hurts too much. The problem is that I can't bend the joint at all, leaving me with an anxious and lumbering limp. Not anxious. See, here's the thing with my dumb leper self is that like sometimes like I misread some words. So like I'm thinking like it's one word, but it really isn't. But that last word wasn't anxious. It was obvious. I think I'm okay. You sure you don't want to ride on my back down the stairs at least? I consider it, but I don't really want him and Jenna anywhere near each other, especially after what she might have heard just now. Nah, I want to test it out a bit more. I turn my head to look back at Carl. His brows are raised at me, like he doesn't really think I can do it. I'll call you if I need any help, okay? Carl purses his lips. Alright. The trip down the stairs is ponderous and awkward. I'm probably loud too, because when I reach the bottom I find both Raven and Jenna already staring at me. Hey. Hey. Jenna doesn't say anything, continuing to watch me. We stare at each other awkwardly for a bit before she finally moves her head back down to look at my leg. How's your leg? Ooh, it's alright. A bit stiff though. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I grasp at the opportunity to talk about anything other than what we're obviously avoiding. Hey Kevin, how's it going? Welcome on in. The Blepper welcomes you. Hope you're doing well, buddy. I think I should be able to walk normally, maybe in a few days. Hopefully in a few days we'll be out of here so you can do that. Yeah. Jenna's definitely not herself right now. Her eyes are vacant, dull, and... It's hard to explain, but they lack the mischievous and compassionate look that I'm used to seeing. Her voice is weird too. It's deeper, more husky. We'll be out of here by then. Raven says it with a grin as he leans back in the chair he's sitting in. Yeah, actually I wanted to talk to you guys about that. Okay, hold on. Let me raise up the volume a little bit. Okay, that should probably be good. That way that you guys can also hear like the background music and whatever else is going on. I'm doing good, Kevin. It feels great to come back to this game. I'm really excited to come back into Echo because we haven't played this game in like weeks. So here's what I'm thinking of doing for like future streams, at least for now, is to go like back and forth between Echo and then Winds of Change because those are two games I definitely want to try out. Or no, wait, maybe like Winds of Change and then Everhood and then Echo and then maybe like we could, or no, Or maybe we could do like Winter Change, Echo, and then Everhood. I don't know. I'll let you guys choose. Which order do you guys want me to go by? Uh, Winter Change, Everhood, or an Echo, or Echo first and then Everhood? I'll let you guys decide. Haven't been here in months. Yeah, it has. I mean, it has been a little bit since I've been streaming. It's been a few weeks. Both, but you see, Vox, like I am gonna put both of those games in, but I'm just gonna try to see like which game should I start first, Echo or Everhood? Because I kind of want to go back to Everhood too, because there's still like a lot. I think I don't really think there's much left in Everhood, so we'll have to see. Play them both at the same time. My stream is gonna die if I do that. You goof. Play Winter Change. Yeah, Fire Tiger. We're gonna be doing that first. That's always gonna be like the first game that we play. So I think maybe like after Echo, like we go into Everhood, and then like we could repeat the same cycle again. But I mean, like that's why I'm asking. Like what should we do first? Like Echo and Everhood, or Everhood and Echo first? So that's what I'm asking you guys about how to get out of here. And how do we do that? Well, I was thinking that last time we were able to unlock the door, all we had to do was find that letter. Raven blinks at me. So we find a letter? Or something like that. We just need to find something, I think. We did find something. I look over at Jenna. Huh? I said we did find something, but Carl burned it. Oh, well, I don't think Carl burned it. He did. I pause. But there's gotta be something else, or maybe whatever is doing this has a way of putting something else here. The others don't say anything. I don't know, but we can't just sit here. Looking around is the least we can do. Where's Carl? Jenna's standing up now and looking at the ceiling. Faintly, I can hear the clopping of Carl's hooves on the soft wood. He's looking around upstairs. Jenna continues to look up at the ceiling. Her face is stony. Let's start in this room. Raven stands up and starts walking along the hall, looking up and down the logs, prodding at the spaces between. Jenna's still looking up at the ceiling, and I worry that she's going to try and go upstairs. Hey, Jenna, can you help me look around in the kitchen? Jenna looks back at me. Huh? My ankle still kind of hurts. It'd be nice to be able to lean on someone if I need to walk like to the kitchen. Wait, it was far, not for. You see what I mean? I'm a dumb blepper. Jenna pauses before moving over to my side. She stands there stoically, and I awkwardly wrap an arm around her shoulders. Thanks. Yeah. We amble slowly to the kitchen. Jenna stops in the middle of the room and waits. I guess I'll start with the cabinets? My voice goes up at the end like I'm asking a question. Jenna doesn't say anything, so I stumble away from her, again awkwardly, before finding support on the wooden pantry. I hesitantly start opening some of the cupboards, feeling a lot less into my idea than I was just a few minutes earlier. I am a good blubber. Thank you for that. Thanks for that, Vox. Jenna stares out the window. So, are you okay? She finally looks back at me, frowning. I'm fine. Why? You're being really distant? Do you need me to stand next to you? No, I mean, you seem like you're not really here mentally. I'm sorry. I open up another pantry door to a set of glass mugs. Is this something to do with Carl? I know Jenna's going through something similar to what Carl is. I just have no idea what's doing it or why. Unlike Carl, though, Jenna's thing isn't helping us. Small mistake. You actually need to read it really well. I'm intrigued into the story. I usually play these games, but this is chill as... I mean, still, like, I should still be able to read the words just fine, but my dumb blepper self... like, sometimes, like, I read words too fast, I guess is what I think. Stop interrupting. Oh, no, Mystic! Anyone who wants to talk to me here is fine. I really don't mind. I mean, that's the whole point of streams like this, too, is, like, we can go through this story together, and like I can talk back with you guys too. That's what makes it fun. So yeah, you guys can, you guys are free to send any messages you want. Ah, big hugs to you too, DJ. I don't have a problem with Carl. I mean, what you did yesterday. I just have a problem with the way he acts. He could do a lot if he puts his mind to it. It takes me a moment to realize that she's talking about what happened before. Well, all of us. So, you attacked him? Heck, I've been booped again. Heck and heck. I make mistakes all the time when I'm reading, it's okay. Ah, thank you for that. And thanks for being patient with me too, you guys. It really does mean a lot. So, you attacked him? What? No, that was something else. I turn around and finally see something familiar about Jenna. Some life in her eyes. Maybe all I have to do is just talk about stuff before this whole warp to ghost dimension. I mean, he tries, he just has problems. Shouldn't a psychology major know that? Jenna looks away from me. I guess, but I'm not a therapist. So what? So I don't know. No, I mean, shouldn't anyone have sympathy? I'd like to have a little more sympathy if you actually try and get help. He has, but it's not that easy. Again, I don't feel like I should be explaining this to someone who has 4 years of psychology under her belt. I tried to get help, but I didn't feel better for years. Jenna doesn't say anything. Carl's problems didn't really start up until his first year of college. I keep pulling open cupboards, my heart sinking a little more each time there's nothing inside. I mean, yeah, he's had problems before, but it's only getting worse for him. Well, it doesn't matter what I think about Carl right now. We're trying to find a way out of here, and screwing around isn't going to help. Jenna says it in such a way that I feel like it was supposed to be pointed. Heck! Boop! Boop back! I'll boop you back. There's little doubt now that she's heard us messing around upstairs. I sigh and reach up to pull open the last cabinet. He's not who you think he is. It's so quiet and deep, I'm not sure that it's Jenna that said it. I turn around, but she's already on the other side of the room, standing next to the opposite set of pantries. Did you say something? She doesn't respond, so I stare at her for another few seconds before slowly turning back around. The fur on the back of my neck prickles at the idea of turning my back on her. Why did these damn ghosts have to be so subtle and cryptic? If that's what it is, of course. It seemed like James had no trouble telling Carl about the whole clue, finding crap. Why couldn't they just tell him, or even Jenna right now, instead of just creeping me out? I just wanted to see how you doing. See you later. Alright, Kevin. Bye-bye. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you around, buddy. The kitchen isn't very big, so I run out of things to search through pretty quickly. I skip the area around the window, though, not having forgotten about what happened yesterday. Yesterday? I don't know how to keep track of time in this place. I look back over at Jenna, who's still in the same place, staring at the pantry. The thought that maybe I myself could be possessed momentarily passes through my mind. For some reason, I doubt it, even though I'm not sure why. I don't really feel like I'm of interest to whatever it is that's doing this. At least not directly. I look around the room, at the ceiling, at the floor. It's a small place, but there's so many nooks and crannies in this place that it could be a million places. Maybe we should assign halves. I pause as I hear loud clopping coming down from the stairs. Jenna pauses too, her ears perked. What the fuck is that ram doing? Sure enough, the ram suddenly comes swinging around the opening to the stairs. I shake my head vigorously at him, but he ignores me. Jenna stands there stiffly, arms folded tightly. Hey Carl, weren't you looking around upstairs? Carl stands there in the doorway, looking at me with a grin. I know where it is. My eyes widen. Really? Upstairs? He ignores me again, instead walking around me to the end of the room. He halts in front of the wood-burning stove. Carl, what are you doing? Again, he doesn't say anything, instead kneeling to twist the metal handles on the stove door before letting it fall open. Jenna walks closer, but is sure to keep her distance, her arms still folded. Hey, what's going on? Raven looks around at us, not even bothering to read the room. Did you find something? Carl looks into the stove before slapping to the top of the metal stove. Ha! There it is! What? But how? How did you know it was there, Carl? Jenna's voice is deep and husky again. Her expression is dark. Her eyes are narrowed at Carl. Carl ignores the both of us as he reaches into the stove. His head is pressed up against the side of the stove as he strains to get, well, whatever it is. I'm about to ask what's going on when he suddenly pulls back and punches the stove. God damn it! I jump. He suddenly turns around to face us, his eyes briefly resting on Jenna before he turns to me. Hey, I think you're small enough to get it. What? What am I getting? Carl? As if he hadn't heard any of us, he grabs me by the arm and pulls me to the stove. Hey! Don't worry about it. Carl finally responds to Jenna, though he keeps his grip on me as he gets out of the way and positions me in front of the stove. He's just getting something that I can't quite reach because I'm fat. He pushes me down to duck in towards the opening and points to the back of the stove, upwards to where the chimney is. See that? White piece of paper. I'm barely able to make out a white smudge in the sea of darkness. Yeah. That's our ticket out of here. He gives me a slight nudge in the back. I normally wouldn't have a problem crawling into an unlit stove, but something about the setting of being a haunted cabin makes me nervous. He gives me another nudge, more insistent this time, and I slowly crawl into the edge of the stove. It's a tight fit, but I'm skinny enough to make it. I decide to sit on the ledge of the opening while the rest of my body stretches inside. The smell is smoky and the air is cool. I wonder subconsciously if the chimney might lead up to the outside. I reach up towards the chimney, feeling around the rough and metallic surface before I make contact with the stiff piece of folded paper. I close my fingers around it and pull, getting just a little resistance before it comes loose. At that moment, something caresses my hand. Rough, tipped fingers that almost lovingly run up my wrist and arm. I yelp and jump, banging my head against the roof of the stove. I fall sideways into the ash-filled bottom. I'm on the verge of panic when Carl reaches in and pulls me out, banging my head again as I fall into the wooden floor. What happened? You alright? Something grabbed me. I rub my hand with one hand, the other clutching onto the paper. Carl roughly pats my clothes, sending clouds of ash into the air. I cough and sputter, feeling all kinds of grit in my throat. Might have just been imagining it. Who knows what kind of shit is dangling in that chimney. Yeah. I frown at Carl. How did you know where this was? He grins at me. Same way it happened last time. So it is paying off. Well, at least we have someone giving us some direction in this place. Jenna snorts, but I choose to ignore her. I look at the old yellow piece of paper in my hands. It's a lot older looking than the photocopied newspaper that I burned up earlier. So, you think that's what we needed to find? Raven asks excitedly, staring at the paper. It is. After a few more hacks, I finally manage to start getting my breathing under control. I make my way over to the candle for better light. Well, I guess I'll read this out. A hand suddenly grabs my wrist. Confused, I pull it away instinctively, and that's when someone grabs up the paper, at the same time shoving me back. Jenna! Her face is locked and determined, grabbing my wrist and pulling at the paper with her other hand. I probably would have given her the paper if she asked, but this sudden aggression has me automatically resisting. She grabs me and swigs me around. We both fall against the bench under the window. Jenna's hand smacks against my nose, bringing tears to my eyes. I yelp as she pulls her fingers in, raking in lines of fire down my nose with her claws. There's a pounding in my ears, and I distantly register that the drum has started up again. She twists out from under me and pulls away from the bench. When the fuck did she get this strong? I numbly keep my grip on her wrists, and she spins, swinging me away from her. I lose my grip and stumble back, stepping wrong on my foot and rebending my ankle. Oh, God, no! I yelp again, much more loudly this time as I crumple to the ground. Carl swears and jumps over me at Jenna. Wait! I try to grab him by the hoof that's passing over me, but I miss miserably. As I sit up, I hear an ungodly bestial snarling. As I look up, I see Carl wrestling, kicking, and scratching Jenna to the ground. That is fucking it! He pins her there while she writhes under him, trying to scratch at his face. Stop it, guys! Raven's still standing off to the side, his paws on his head, pulling at his ears. I crawl over to the writhing bodies, one eye wincing shut as each movement sends a lightning bolt through my leg. I grab at Jenna's hands, forcing them down above her head. Jenna, stop! Jenna suddenly kicks one of her legs up between Carl's legs as he heels over her. Oh, fuck! He crumples over on top of Jenna, lying on her legs as he tries to pin his thighs together. Little cunt! Carl rears back and punches at her face, landing a glancing blow, but it's enough to snap her face to the side. Stop! I force myself between the two of them, shoving Carl's chest while straddling Jenna's neck. It's an awkward position, but I'm trying to protect her and stop her from retaliating at the same time. Stop it! What the hell are you doing? I say it to the both of them as Carl tries to reach around for the paper in Jenna's hand. Jenna snarls up at me, but it's softer this time. Her struggles die down a little, and after holding my gaze for about 10 seconds, she looks away. I notice a bit of blood collecting on the front of her lips. Seeing the paper held loosely in her hand, I quickly reach out and snatch it back in case she tries to attack again. She doesn't, instead just lying there with her hands above her head, staring at the ceiling. I slowly push out the fox, taking Carl with me as I do. He's not fighting anymore either, instead taking the paper from me and holding it firmly in his hands while he glares at Jenna. Raven? Raven, still with his fingers twisted around his ears, looks over at me. Yeah? Take Jenna upstairs. Take a nap or something. I think we need to be kept separate. Raven's easily able to coax Jenna up the floor and they head upstairs. Jenna looking down at the floor all the while. I scoot over to Carl, holding my breath as each drag sends another spasm through my leg. Only now am I really feeling the pain in my ankle. Carl is busy inspecting the note as if he is worried it's damaged. She was going to try to fucking burn it. He holds it up to the candlelight, like that would be getting back at me for earlier. She still thinks I burnt that fucking paper. How do you know that? The way she was looking at the candle right before she came at you. And, well, she's just the kind of person who would do that. He looks at my ankle. You fuck up your ankle again? Yeah. God, what a stupid bitch. Carl! He looks up at me. What? I've never heard you talk like that before. Carl shrugs, unfolding the paper. Well, I've never been attacked like that before. I look closely at his face. It's still Jenna. You hit her pretty hard. She kicked me in the nuts. Well, yeah, but Carl doesn't seem very interested at all in what I'm trying to say. She's not herself either. I think the same thing's happening to her. Same thing? Like what's happening to you? We know Jenna had ancestors in Echo at the very beginning. What if she was being affected by an ancestor just like Carl is? But for some reason, deep down, I feel very uneasy about bringing up John in front of this Carl. Even if they were lovers, something's clearly wrong now. Carl shrugs. She's always been kind of a bitch. I swallow down whatever I'm about to say next. Anyway, I'm gonna read this so we can move the fuck on, alright? Okay. I'm confused and worried. Did I make the wrong decision telling Carl what to do last night? This isn't like him at all. The ram holds up the letter, clearing his throat. My dearest John, I've been hearing terrible things lately. They say that you've been accusing me of the most egregious monstrosities. I dare not to believe them. In fact, I will not until I hear your words for myself. There must be some misunderstanding. Has one of my many political enemies pitted you against me? Are they using the missing native boys as a weapon against my campaign? I would not think that to be below them. But what concerns me most is you. Please visit me at my mansion. We must speak on this. I very much look forward to your company and believe that we can soon set this straight. Yours forever, James. I look up at Carl. He looks back at me. So, what do you think that means? Carl shrugs. John clearly did something terrible to James, right? Well, maybe, but what? It sounds like he tried to frame him or something. I remember the newspaper clipping that had somehow gone up in flames. Hey, that newspaper article that got burned up and said something about a Meseta kid that was missing. So John tried to pin a missing native boys on James. Maybe, but we still don't know if John was doing it anyway. James doesn't seem to know either. I wonder if maybe the James inside of Carl has any idea what's going on right now. If he does, he's not saying anything. I look at the ram who's in the middle of rereading the letter. You okay? I'm fine. Well, are your balls okay? Carl shrugs again. Yeah, they're fine. I think about making a joke about making them feel better, but that doesn't really feel appropriate right now. I'm more concerned about Jenna. I think she's becoming more dangerous the longer that we're here. Yeah. It seemed at that point that Jenna really isn't Jenna anymore. We need to have a talk with her about resisting John. Yeah? I mean, James is helping you, right? He's helping me, yeah, but John's not helping her at all. I look in the direction of the door as a loud click emanates from it. Carl's long ears perk as he follows my gaze. We both stare at it for a few seconds. Is it unlocked? Carl gets to his feet and strides confidently over to the door. Careful. I say, a little apprehensive that something might open it from the other side. Carl doesn't say anything as he stands in front of the door. Reaching out, he rests a hand on the handle and gives it a straight push. A slight push. It shifts open a few inches. Carl looks back at me. Get the others. We all stand around the door, Carl to my right and Raven to my left. Raven and I make sure there's maximum distance between Jenna and Carl. The door is still shifted open a few inches, and the vertical black void it reveals is a little ominous. So, are we just gonna go through? Isn't that what we did last time? Yeah. I feel the real question is if we really want to go through the door in the first place. Is it just going to lead to another terrible place where terrible things happen? I feel a void similar to the one I'm looking at open up in my chest. The thought of being trapped in a loop, going through the door after door that leads to nothing but horror. Already this place is having an effect on Jenna that seems to be getting worse with each passing hour. How much longer can she keep it together? Well, what did the letter say? I tense up. Anything she does now is putting me on edge, like I'm just waiting for her to lash out again. My hand drifts conspiratorially to my pocket where the folded up letter is. I glance to my right at Carl, but he's got his eyes on the door. A few things, just more history stuff. About what? I decided at that moment that I had to lie. We need to keep Jenna or John calm if we want to get through this. I have a feeling that Jenna or John wouldn't want to hear about James revealing what I assume are secrets. I didn't read anything about John trying to sabotage James in my research, but maybe that's what James is trying to tell us. So I shrugged my shoulders, moving my hand away from my pocket. Stuff about the mine. How there wasn't enough of it to sustain the town. I'm worried Jenna might challenge my lie, for whatever reason. She doesn't say anything though, and Carl just keeps on staring straight ahead. Raven suddenly claps his hands together, making me jump. So, should we open it? Raven reaches out. Wait. The husky pauses and looks back at me expectantly, his black ears tipped forward. Should we do this? I mean, it's probably just gonna lead to another place where we have to find another thing. Yeah? So maybe we shouldn't keep going? I stumble over my words, trying to piece together my feelings and put them into sentences as I go. I just think that they're not really on our side, you know? I make an effort not to look at Jenna. So if they're not, then why are we doing what they want us to do? I realize that I'm shaking now, and I make an effort to make my hands still. Well, what else should we do? Raven's tone isn't accusatory, but is genuinely curious. I don't have a very good answer. Well, maybe we can find a way back somehow. Maybe we're still in Carl's house right now. Carl's house. That plane seems like it's thousands of miles away and years away at this point. Maybe we can, wake ourselves up somehow. Raven doesn't respond, and neither does anyone else. I realize how stupid I must sound. Sorry, I just feel like we're taking things a little too fast right now. Carl clears his throat. Trust me, we're going somewhere. The ram leaves it at that, and I'm left to wonder if James knows exactly where we're going. If he does, then why doesn't Carl tell us now? How in control is he? It's something that I would have to bring up later since I'm not going to be doing that in front of Jenna. You can stay here if you want, Otter. It takes me a second to realize she's talking to me. Is she really that gone? I just hope that we can reach the end of this, that we can get her back somehow. You would like that, wouldn't you? I cough, clearing my throat as I realize another fight could be about to start up. No, I'll go. I just wanted to think about it for a second. Have you thought about it then? Yeah. I look up at Carl, but he's still staring stoically at the door. Well, if that's all, then let's go. Jenna steps forward to grab the door handle, and I bite my tongue to keep from saying that we should wait again. The door swings open to reveal blackness, just like the last time. Unlike the last time, though, there's a spot of flickering light in the distance. The fire. Everything's quiet right now, no drumbeat, but the darkness is unnatural. It's inky and thick, like it's alive. I get the unnerving feeling that it's trying to eat the light from the fire. Maybe towards the fire. Jenna suddenly steps forward, and just like that, she's swallowed by the darkness. Jenna, wait! She ignores me. Carl gives his shoulders another shrug. Well, that's all we can see, so I assume that's the right direction to go. I see her form pass in front of a firelight a few times, then she's gone. Alright, here we go. Despite his nervousness, Raven still sounds cheerful about stepping into oblivion. Lean on me. I'm suddenly yanked sideways to lean against the ram's sturdy shoulder. Then we're off, Carl tugging me into the darkness. Stay close. Yeah, we're immersed in blackness. Not only do things go dark visually, but the change is physical too. I don't know if it's all in my head, but I feel heavier, like the darkness is pushing down on my shoulders. It's colder too, to the point where I can feel the heat radiating off of Carl's body when I brush up against him. Try to move faster. Okay. Despite my best attempts, the going is slow, and not just because of my injured, or probably broken ankle. The ground is uneven and rocky like we're outside walking in the desert, which I realize is exactly what we're doing when we walk straight into what feels like a sagebrush. Not a sagebrush. Carl thrashes around with the hand, not holding on to me, and we're able to sort of stumble around it. Where the hell are we? I mutter as I stub my toe painfully on a rock. Outside. Yeah, but where outside? The desert. So, do you think we're still an echo? Carl's quiet for a moment. No. I wonder if maybe all the others, TJ, Leo, and Flynn, are out here too in the darkness. I want to call out, but I'm too nervous that it's going to attract something to us. I still remember the black figure dancing around in the fire we were walking towards at this very moment. We're close enough now that I'm starting to be able to make out Carl in the darkness. I look back at the house to see how far we've gone. All that I can make out now are two rectangles of light. One for the door that we came out of, and one for the kitchen window. In the latter, a dark figure stands, framed by the faint light inside. I squint, not really sure what I'm seeing. Then it moves, disappearing from the window. I stop walking, and Carl stops with me, looking back over his shoulder. What? I don't... Did one of the others go back? The black figure appears again, this time in the doorway of the house. I don't even have time to react to that before it steps forward and the doorway swings shut with a distant snap. A press of blackness takes its place. I grab onto Carl more tightly. The hell? My mind flashes back to the black thing I'd seen crawling out on the wardrobe. Come on. I nudge into Carl's side, trying to get him to hurry along with the resisting urge to try to run on my twisted ankle. I'm realizing that it might come to that. Raven! Jenna! I call out to the darkness ahead of us, wanting to warn them. Over our ragged breathing, though, there's dead silence all around us, except for a drum beat. Either they can't hear us or they can't respond. Carl's gripping onto me with both of his hands, practically hauling at my feet as he pulls me along. Suddenly, he stops before almost growling at me. Jesus Christ, get on my back! He lets me go and crouches down in front of me. Even with everything going on, I'm a bit hurt by his tone, like I'm the main problem right now. I'm there before he even finishes his sentence, and soon my face is bouncing off his hard skull as he starts sprinting towards the fire. Whether it's in my head or not, I swear I can hear a slithering sound behind me, like a snake sliding over dry leaves. I shiver, not wanting to look back, but I do anyway, trying to peer into the darkness. Of course, I can't see anything, but I swear something flashes in front of the lone rectangle of light coming from the cabin's kitchen window. The rustling sounds get louder, and I can't even pretend that I'm imagining it. It casts a picture into my mind. That black shadow creature contorting and bending through the brush that Carl was having so much trouble moving through. I hold on to one of his horns and lean towards his ear. Carl, it's getting close. And then my stomach lurches as it feels like the floor just suddenly drops away. Next thing I know, my nose smacks hard into the back of Carl's head before I flip over, landing on my back, and what feels like a sea of sharp rocks. I lay there for a second, dazed, staring into the black ocean above me, wondering if any of this is real. Am I still dreaming? Maybe I'll just wake up in my dorm, probably late to my legal and ethical issues in journalism class. Fuck, get up! A muffled voice breaks in my haze of confusion and pain. Then I'm being yanked up as Carl pulls me to my feet and forcefully shoves me back into his back. Get up! I'm trying. I can barely mumble through my numb mouth, which feels like it's full of pennies. I can see I'm making dark stains on the back of Carl's shirt. It feels like my face is caved in. I wonder if my nose is broken, but the fear of pursuit is returning, and I quickly clutch at Carl's horns before he resumes his sprint. He finally comes to a stumbling halt in front of the massive bonfire which had looked so small from the cabin. We both stare up at it, the heat almost unbearable. The whispers behind me reach a crescendo, the hissing just over my shoulder. Oh, shit. What are we supposed to do? A voice raises in pitch as I look behind us, the black shape now discernible in the firelight as it slithers around the necks and the rocks and the sagebrush. It's like a person imitating a snake. I grip onto Carl as he turns to face it, then takes a step back, then another. Oh shit, I don't fucking know. I cling to the ram, and I can feel him trembling underneath me. As the creature reaches the edge of the circle of the firelight, Carl turns and starts running past the fire. And then my muscles seize up, my jaw clenches, and my eyes roll back, and I feel myself falling backwards. The heat is almost unbearable, and my fur is damp from the sweat, the skin underneath itching and uncomfortable. I can feel the sun on my face, the brightness turning inside of my eyelids a dazzling red. I don't want to open them, though. No, I just want to sleep. I almost do fall asleep, but a distant chorus of shouts and screams jolts me back awake. Now I do try to open my eyes, but I can't. It's like they're glued shut. I reach up to paw at them, but my arms won't lift. I must be dreaming, stuck in a paralysis. So I lay there, listening to the shouting and screaming, imagining an angry mob. After what seems like hours, the voices fade, and the red turns deeper, darker, blood-like, as if the sun is setting. And that's when I can finally drift away, back to sleep. A soft choking moan brings me back to the surface. I'm still hot and sweaty, but the blazing sun isn't shining in my face anymore. I wiggle my fingers and shift my arms a bit, feeling them glide over the fabric. At least I'm not paralyzed anymore. Another moan, followed by a coughing sound, forces me to open my eyes, realizing it's not part of a dream. I stare up at the ceiling, a textured beige ceiling. I'm back in the room where I'd slept. How long ago? A day? A few days? It doesn't matter because everything comes back to me at once. I feel like a lead weight has just dropped to my chest, knocking the wind out of me. Fuck, is this not over? I'm starting to become more convinced this is never going to end. We're stuck in a loop, just like in my dreams. Another moan, slightly weaker, makes me sit up and look around the room. I'm alone as far as I can tell. Where are the others? Am I actually alone? I can't stop a soft whimper coming from my mouth at the thought of being separated from the others. I was barely keeping it together with Carl, but without him. A loud cough through the wall behind me makes me jump again. I quickly slide off the bed and immediately cringe as my weight comes to rest on my swollen ankle. I sag against the bed for a moment, squinting my eyes shut as I wonder why my ankle's only getting stiffer. Maybe the fall Carl had taken made it even worse. The thought that those moans could be coming from Carl spurs me to straighten up and carefully hop towards the door. Okay, hold up you guys, I will be right back, but it won't take long. I just gotta put my blankets, well, I gotta put my sheets in the dryer, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, everyone, and I got a bottle of water with me now too, cause yeah. Sometimes talking for that long does dry your throat. Trust me, it really does. Okay, let's continue. I have to stifle a short yelp with every bounce, and by the time I reach the door frame, I have to lean against it to catch my breath. My hands shake as I rub my eyes, the pain making me wonder if I'll ever be able to walk without a limp again. Another groan from the room next to me forces me to move again. In the hallway now I'm able to make out the sounds a bit better and realize it has a feminine quality to it. Jenna? My voice comes out in a crackly squeak and a grunt cleared in my throat. Deemed hydrate. Jenna? I try again and wait, but I get no response in return. I force myself to step into the hallway, clinging to the wall for support. When I look down at the hall of the door next to mine, I find something very familiar. A damaged wooden door, the middle bulging and splintered out as if something had hit it from the other side. Memories of a bad smell, a dark concrete room, and a noose. I hold tighter to the doorframe, feeling my knees tremble, both from the pain and the fear. I look behind me, hoping to see Carl, maybe even Raven. A shuffling sound followed by another cough and gurgle draws my eyes back to the door. If it's Jenna, I have to act now. I steady myself against the wall as I hop slowly towards the door, eyes watering with the pain now. Reaching out with a shaking hand, I start to slowly push at the door. I'm hoping that I might be able to crack it open just a little bit and not draw attention to whatever it is inside. The door only shifts a little, though, and seems to catch on the ground underneath it. It lets out a rough scratching sound that makes my fur raise up. Gritting my teeth, I forgot the stealthy. I forego the stealthy approach and give it a hard shove. This time it opens halfway and I'm able to see through the room. To be fair, you know what? I can understand that typo there because there is a lot in this story. There's a lot of writing in it. And this is only pathway 1. I think every pathway, Rocky said that every pathway is like 8 hours or so, so we're going to be here a while. And this is, I think only 1 of 5, I think? So, yeah. Just like last time, there's no light coming from within the room itself. Instead, I have to rely on the dim yellow light coming from the hallway. It casts a widening band of light into the concrete room as the door opens. The smell hits me like a wave and I immediately gag, doubling over and pressing my hand to my nose before pulling up the neck to my shirt over my nose. Sure, I smell like a BO from the 2 days of running in fear, but it's better than the sweet smell of rotting meat that's enveloping me. Still shaking, I peer into the room while I lean against the door, but I'm only able to see the cracked concrete floor and walls. The grunting, choking sounds reach a peak now, and is coming from beyond the band of light. It's an inky blackness that isn't all that different from what Carl and I had run through. Hello? No response. It sounds like the grunting had stopped too. Shit, I have to do something now. I think it's just about kicking the door open and jumping back, but then I remember there's really nothing I can do with my feet right now. Taking a deep breath, I set both hands against the door. I steel myself for whatever I'm about to see, then shove the door as hard as I can. The door swings in and suddenly scraping horribly against the floor the entire way. I yelp at the suddenness of it all, the tension exploding out of me at once as I jump back in fear. The band of light widens, seeping over the entirety of the concrete room before the door finally lodges against the wall with a snapping sound. I almost lose my balance, arms swinging around cartoonishly as I try to hop on one foot. At the same time, I'm fearfully eyeing the opening, terrified of what I'm about to see. And what I do see is definitely terrifying. It's Jenna in the middle of the room. Oh, she's... Oh, shit. Dude. Oh my god. I just got major chills from that right now. That painted a very vivid picture. I am so glad that they didn't, like, put that as an actual scene, because that just painted a very, very vivid picture right now. There isn't any time to worry about it, though, as I grab at Jenna, unsure of what to do. First, I try to wrap my arms around her and lift up, screaming again as I set my weight down on my foot. She doesn't respond to any of this and just hangs, limp in my arms, which terrifies me even more. I reach up and pluck uselessly at the hangman's knot that I immediately know that isn't going to budge no matter how much I pull. Carl! Carl! Help! I feel myself starting to panic. Desperately, I look around, trying to find something, anything that I might be able to use to cut the rope. Jenna? I call up at her. I can't see her eyes from this angle, but I can't feel any movement in her. I try to press my ear against her chest, but I'm not sure if I'm doing it in the right spot. I try to quiet my breathing and actually listen, but I still can't hear anything. Shit, Carl! I feel myself starting to hyperventilate and try again to slow my breathing. If I pass out right now, I'm going to be less help than I already am. The world is starting to take on a surreal tint, and I think I'm actually dreaming. I think I'm about running to the kitchen, but I don't want to let her go, especially since I feel like she's on the edge of dying right now. I reach up again and start trying to worm my fingers underneath the rope, but it's useless. It's way too tight. My eyes start to water as I realize I'm not helping her at all right now, aside from maybe taking a little pressure off her neck. But it might be too late anyway. Please help. I'm suddenly hyper aware of the screaming pain in my ankle and I feel it giving out. And so are my arms, burning with the strain of trying to hold Jenna up. I press my face against her chest, feeling myself starting to give up on everything, and something clicks in my mind. I'm not sure why or how, but I remember the knife, the one that we had carried through the halls. Was it still out there? It's really my only option now. With a great deal of regret, I let go of Jenna, leaving her to dangle and struggle again, though it's much weaker now. With a sense of urgency like I've never known, I tear out into the hallway, taking a hard right as I sprint down the hall. I'm not sure where I am, and I can't remember the setup of this place. I take the first left, and just like that, I see the knife laying on the floor, in front of the door we just appeared through. Gasping in relief, I almost faceplant as I bend over to snatch it up, then turn my heels and run back. When I do take the turn again, I see Carl standing at the door, peering in at Jenna. Carl! I gasp at him and he moves out of the way as I run into the room. Carl, help me with her! Jenna's not really moving now, and I slash at the rope uselessly for a moment before forcing myself to focus and start sawing at the rope. Carl seems to be hesitating at the door. Carl? Carl! Help me! Carl walks in looking at the fennec before sort of hoisting her up a bit. I saw as fast as I can, but the rope is thick and it takes a good minute to cut all the way through. I'm a couple millimeters from the other end when the rope snaps and all three of us come crashing to the ground. We lay there in a heaving heap. The only sound is our gasps as we all try to catch our breaths, Jenna being the loudest. After a while, I sit up and look over at her. She's already sitting up herself, one hand to her neck, rubbing at it. Hey, are you okay? I reach out to her. I'm fine. Her voice sounds horrible, like she's completely lost it. She leans away a little from my hand, so I drop it. I thought you were gonna die, Jenna. My voice is all shuddering and I struggle to keep my emotions under control, to not have a panic attack. Whatever was controlling this whole scenario just tried to kill one of us. But then I guess that's already happened with that shadow creature thing. And even what's with happened to Raven. Wait a minute, where's Raven? Where's Raven in all of this? Hey, I can help. She ignores me. I look over at Carl and see that he's sitting up, just staring at Jenna. Carl, are you okay? I ask it out of confusion. Why had he just stood there? I don't really want to ask right now, though, with Jenna still trying to get the rope off. Carl raises a hand in acknowledgement. We lay there a while longer, Jenna busy hacking at this rope. Carl chooses to stare up into the ceiling. The almost peaceful silence is shattered as a husky stumbles into the doorframe, clutching onto as he practically trips in. Whoa! Hey guys! He grins, waving a hand at us as he rights himself. He looks around at us, taking in the scene. What happened? Jenna got hanged. We had to cut her down. There's really no way to sugarcoat it. Oh, crap! He stares wide-eyed at Jenna. Well, guess it was surprising that it wasn't me this time, huh? He lets out a high-pitched, nervous laugh. None of us even cracks a smile. You okay though, right? Fine. Raven looks around the room. Well, it looks like we're still here. Carl lets out a sigh. And that's how it's gonna stay if we just sit here. I frown. Hey, we just went through something really fucked up. We should be able to sit down for a sec. It's been a second, hasn't it? He waves his hand at Jenna. Look what just happened. It wants us dead. Carl? I trail off. What? Carl isn't himself, and I already know that. If I had known telling him to let James help us would turn him into this, I don't think I would have asked him to do it. I don't really want to think it, but it seems like he would have just let Jenna die if I hadn't been there. The way that he just stood there. There's a soft snap, and I look over to see that Jenna's pulled the rope from her throat. How's your neck? Jenna rubs it. It's fine. Her voice has an air of complete disinterest despite the situation. She seems distracted too, her eyes flicking around at the ceiling like she's expecting something to happen up there. I look up too, but all I see is the concrete, that spiderweb with cracks. The rope I notice is hanging from nothing. It sort of just grows out of the ceiling. Carl is on another side next to me. We weren't able to move yet? I feel a small flicker of annoyance. Can you cool it for just a minute? Carl is quiet for a moment, clearly sensing the change in my mood. I immediately regret it, but I don't have the energy to take it back. Yeah, sure. I guess we've been sitting around most of the time that we've been here. Why not a few more minutes? Guess he's really not. Wow, what a dick! What a dick! Actually, why don't we just stay here? Just keep pulling those grilled cheese sandwiches out of the cupboard, huh? Excuse me? Before I can say anything, Jenna speaks up. We're going to get out. Her voice is dark, firm, and completely unlike the way Jenna has ever spoken before. We both look at her, and she sits there, legs crossed, staring hard at us. Well, at me. Carl sits up. John? Now she does look at Carl, and it's out of instinct, her eyes darting to him before looking back at me. I recognize that it's almost unstoppable urge to look at the way that you hear your name being called. Yeah, we suspected, and Jenna has been acting weird, but to think that she was that consumed by him. Well, Carl is too, so it's not all that shocking. I hadn't asked her directly about it yet, so I guess now is the time. Jenna, are you feeling okay? I'm feeling fine. It's just that you haven't seemed like yourself for a while now. What do you mean? I look over at Carl as he shifts himself around on the floor to look directly at Jenna. His face is hard and dark, and he doesn't say anything though. I clear my throat. Me and Carl were talking earlier about a presence that he was feeling, that he felt like James was talking to him. Sounds like he's going crazy. Carl snorts loudly but doesn't say anything. Well, it's made him act kinda differently. I glance at Carl, but he still keeps quiet. Jenna keeps that stern look on her face, frowning at me. What are you trying to say? Well, do you know a guy named John Begay? Not really. You keep mentioning him, but no one told me who he is, aside from the fact that he was hanged. I remember the picture I'd taken of John back in Carl's crawl space. My hand feels my phone through my pocket as I almost reach it to pull it out before remembering that it's dead. He was in some of the pictures with James Hendricks, the founder of the town. Jenna stares at me blankly. James was Carl's ancestor, right? We think that John was your ancestor too. He was a fox and has the same last name. So? So wasn't your family an echo since the beginning? Yes. So it seems like you're probably related to him, right? Jenna stares hard at me, then at Carl. Our family doesn't have records like yours, Carl. Carl gives Jenna a deadpan look. I butt in. See? Jenna doesn't talk like that. You wouldn't say something like that. Jen doesn't say anything, keeping her glare up at Carl. What I'm saying is that John is in your head, kind of like James is in Carl's. I don't think so. I sigh loudly. Look, something's different with you. It's obvious. We can all see it. Raven suddenly cuts in. I mean, I don't know you all that well, but if you're going to be by how a normal person acts, you're not acting very normal. We're not in a normal situation like that, are we? We all go quiet then. Besides, this isn't about clearing James's name or whatever. Why are we talking about John? Jenna stares at Carl, moving across his face like she's searching for something. Carl stares hard back at her. Besides, if he's not fighting it, then why should I? Jenna's expression remains emotionless. So, are you, like, possessed, I mean? Jenna goes quiet again. I rub my face hard with my hands. Apparently she's not going to confirm it, but I think it's pretty obvious. So what the hell am I supposed to do with two possessed friends on my hands? It's not me you have to worry about, Chase. Carl and I share a look. Jenna, what do you mean by that? A strange look across Jenna's face, breaking out the stoic detachment that she's been portraying for the last however long it's been. It's confused, but it's also like she wants to say something with her mouth open. Jenna? She seems to be frozen like that for a moment before she seems to finally give up, shaking her head. I don't know. She glares at Carl. Carl glares right back. This time Raven cuts in before Carl can say anything. Is something stopping John from saying something? I watch Jenna closely, and that's when she finally looks away. I don't know. Jenna or Carl, are John and James upset with one another? Jenna shrugs, not looking at me. Carl lets out a sigh of frustration. What we need to be doing is figuring out how to get the hell out of here. Listen, I don't know much about these guys, but it sounds like James and John are trying to tell us something. Raven looks back and forth between Carl and Jenna, and trying to stop the other one from telling us something. I rub my face with my hands again, feeling frustrated, just wishing these two assholes could tell us what it is that they want to say. So they're trying to tell us something about the past, and they both don't want us to know what the other knows. Maybe that's what we're supposed to figure out. So it's not as simple as just clearing James's name. John has something to say too, and he sure as hell wants us to hear it. Carl or James, do you have something to say? Carl says nothing. I close my eyes. Fine. So we're stuck in the middle of a possessed ghost fight and neither of you are going to talk about it? I really don't have anything else to go off of. Well, maybe. I try to think back and think aloud, talking towards Raven, since the other two don't seem interested in helping. So when I was doing research, they both got convicted of sodomy. John was hanged and James was left to start his ice cream business. Why wasn't James hanged too? His influence in the town, probably. Well, I can see how that might cause problems between the two of them. I look over at Carl, who's still looking at Jenna. Jenna's picking at the rope in her lap. There isn't much more to talk about at this point, unless one of the spirits decides to do something else that can help us along somehow. So, what are we supposed to do next exactly? Raven points at the back of the room. There's a door there. We all look in the direction he's pointing. Sure enough, there's a door there. It's a concrete door practically cut out of the wall. It's featureless aside from a rusty metal handle. What, was that there before? I think I would have seen it the first time I looked in. Jenna stands up, taking a few steps towards the door. Carl stands abruptly as well, following her. Jenna hears him and suddenly runs towards the door. I stand up too. Wait, guys, maybe we should... Jenna reaches forward to grab up the metal handle, and before any of us can say anything more, she yanks it open. A trail leads through the desert landscape, and cacti and boulders obscure my view on either side. The ground is rocky, and dust kicks up with each step I take. As I continue up the path, I can see 3 peaks of Demonio Mountains in front of me. I'm heading towards the town of Echo just over these mountains. As I get closer, I notice the trail branches off towards the side of the mountain. I follow the trail with my eyes to the hazy distance, almost disappearing into the heat waves. Still, I can make out a small dark hole, the mine. Some things should just be left alone. Dust swirls silently at the mouth of the mine, almost sparkling in the bright noon light. Every single person here. Something seems to pulse out at the entrance, sending an almost visible wave through the air. You will never escape. You will always come back. Red seeps from the hole, running up to the side of the mountain in a wave, turning rock and dust to color blood. You'll always be running in circles. I start jogging up the trail, panting at the desert heat, not sure what I'm doing. Oh dear, the sky in front of me lights up with that same ominous red color in the direction of Echo. Somehow I'm able to scale the side of the mountain in just seconds. I get to the peak and look over the edge. I see the town, but it's not the town I remember, at least not all of it. Lake Emma is in the distance to the left. The motel and the supermarket are to the right. But the ruins by the lake aren't just the old foundation remnants anymore. They're fully standing now with their log walls and roofs. Several dozen more houses run up to the side of the lake, standing in stark contrast to the more modern buildings further away towards the main street. There are even a few buildings that I don't recognize, and there just below me is Carl's house. But it's all different. The mansion is bigger, and the walls are a lighter color, and it looks older. Somehow I'm already there, like I just teleported straight down to stand on the road in front of Carl's house. I stare down the slope towards the town, and there, next to the road, is a wooden platform under a tree. There's a rope hanging from the tree, a noose. I look back at the town, at all the different buildings, but no matter which structure I'm looking at, one thing's the same. They all lit up blood red. Well, I don't like that. I watch as what looks like spinning blades come slowly into focus above me. I tense up, but only for a moment as I realize what it is. A ceiling fan. Wait, a ceiling fan? Isn't that... I sit up quickly, only to immediately swoon as the room starts to spin around me. I grip onto whatever I'm sitting on, and it happens to be soft and smooth. I look down and see I'm on top of a blue comforter. To my left, Jenna, Raven, and Carl are stretched out next to me on a king-size bed. To my right, sunshine streams in from the sliding glass doors, outside of which is a massive deck. Past that porch are mountains and desert of echo. We're back. Oh my god, we're back! Guys? Guys! I shake Carl next to me. He immediately swings a hand to slap at me, but I persist until he's forced to sit up, glaring around. Jenna and Raven stare next to him. What happened? Guys, we're back! We're in your house, Carl! Carl finally snaps his eyes open at that. Raven sits up next to Carl and I see him sway with the same dizziness that I had earlier. Where are we? My parents' room. Relief that I've never known before flows through my body. Whether or not it was a dream or hallucination or we were drugged somehow, it doesn't matter. What matters is now that we're home. Well, an echo at least. I look over at Jenna hoping to see her back to her old familiar self, but I find her staring around suspiciously, that dark look still in her eyes. Carl isn't much better, his eyes also on Jenna with a similarly dark look. Maybe that would take longer while to wear off? I slowly push myself off the bed, the height of it making it more difficult for my feet to reach the ground. I touch down with my good foot, and I'm a bit surprised when my toes come in contact with the cold hardwood floor. I thought this room had a carpet the last time I was in here. I look back at Carl and see the fur on his brow crinkling up to the bright sunshine. Something's off. What? Something's wrong. I feel the beginnings of that sinking sensation in my chest again. Why? The room's too big. I look around. I guess it did look a bit bigger than usual. The balcony seems to be the right size, though. And the floor. He points at my feet. Where's the carpet? Oh shit, they're still in the thing, aren't they? The dread continues to grow in my stomach. Maybe they took the carpet out while we were gone? No one responds to that ridiculous idea. Jenna looks at the wall behind the bed and reaches out a hand to touch it tentatively. Carl pushes himself off the bed, his hoof clopping loudly, unnervingly against a hardwood floor that shouldn't exist. Fuck. Yeah, fuck. He reaches out to give me some support. Well, maybe there are other people out there? Even Raven's cheerful tone is forced and strained. I guess I was expecting that we'd end up in another dream world or whatever. But the fact that I thought just for a moment that we were back in the real world made all this feel more soul-crushing. It feels like those fucking ghosts are toying with us at this point. They're still in the thing? Always have been. That's sad though. I genuinely do feel bad for these characters because like they're trapped in this thing. Like I do feel bad. Not yet, at least. Let's move to the deck. I get a better grip onto Carl's side as he starts to move towards the glass doors, his hooves clopping while I hop along. He stares out, slowly reaching up with a hand to tug at the handle. To my surprise, it opens. I guess I thought it would be the same as the last place that we were in, that we'd be locked in or something. I follow Carl as he steps out into the balcony, taking slow, careful steps, as if afraid that the deck may give out. The air is hot and heavy, almost humid. That isn't normal at all in Echo. Sure, it would get really hot, but it's a desert. Humidity is near non-existent. We reach the railing and stare out into the town below the foothills that Carl's mansion sits on. I take in a soft breath. Just like the dream I had, the ruins of Echo aren't ruins anymore. Dozens of old-fashioned wooden buildings dot the edge of the lake. A little ways away, I can see familiar buildings of the motel and the supermarket, along with the small neighborhood of my childhood. And along Main Street, I see a few buildings that I don't even recognize. Not as quite as old-fashioned as the buildings along the lake, but still pretty old-looking. Carl lets out what could be a grunt next to me. What do you think? That's when something clicks. I move closer to his side, putting my shoulder against his. Listen, I saw this in a dream, and I think they were trying to tell me something. What dream? A dream that I had before I woke up. I have them almost every time we pass out. Why are you the only one having these dreams? I jump as Jenna speaks right behind me. I turn around, finding her eyeing me suspiciously. I don't know. None of you had those dreams? I did. Raven pops his head around the glass door, still with that bizarrely resilient grin on his face. But it was about that black shadow creature thing that chased me through the kitchen, so I guess it's not that really useful. What did you see in your dream, Chase? Well, this... I whip my hand out at the alternate reality town. But then, the mine too, like red stuff spread out all over the town. And then I saw a noose. I instinctively look over the edge of the balcony, down towards where I remember seeing the tree. Carl looks too. What is it? Well, I saw a tree with the noose on it. Carl looks slowly back up at me. Down there? I think so. Was anyone in that noose? No, it was empty. Seems like Carl shouldn't have something to add to that, but he doesn't say anything more. I take a deep breath, trying to pull what I feel into words. That dream, the way it zeroed onto the tree, it felt meaningful. I think we need to go to it. Why's that? Carl narrows his eyes down at me, and I feel like he's putting me under a magnifying glass. I don't know, but I don't know where else to start. This place is massive. Do you really think there's a letter there? Maybe. Guys, I turn around. Raven is still standing by the glass door, but he's looking back into the room. Jenna left. What? Sure enough, Jenna's nowhere to be seen. Where did she go? Raven shrugs. Downstairs, I guess. Was she going into the tree? I grab from behind by Carl roughly, and he starts pushing me along. Carl? He doesn't look up. Carl, we need to keep moving. Come on, we both know she's not right in the head right now. Neither are you, I don't say. I'm glad he's moving us along, but I don't like the dull look in his eyes one bit. Raven, Carl, and I head down to the hall towards the stairs. Carl's right. It's like a dream of Carl's house. Carl mentions that there's a few extra doors, all of which lead to bare hardwood floor rooms. The ground level of this house, though, looks mostly normal. As we make our way to Carl's sorta home, I realize something. You guys hear the trains when we were on the deck? Maybe. Why? I thought I did. It's just kind of weird, like, those trains... Like, what are those trains doing in a world that really isn't real? Maybe it is real. Maybe. I'm not convinced. As we pass through the living room, we can see that it's set up like it always is, and the kitchen looks to be in order as well. As we step outside, I notice the mansion looks the same for the most part. Not the massive old look that I had in my dream. I hop along to the curving driveway from Carl's house like I remember it in my dream. How Jenna would be able to find the tree on her own is beyond me. The only indication that I'd given her as to where it was the glance over the railing of the deck. This place feels so close to being home, but none of it is home. I slow my pace as I turn right at the end of Carl's driveway, but the ram starts tugging me along. We moved a short distance down to the road, then moved to the edge on the left side of the road. I look down over to the side onto the rocky sagebrush-covered slope, and there's Jenna. Somehow she immediately found it on her own. The old and rickety wooden platform sits under the tree. Ooh, I almost quit OBS for a second. That is my bad. This tree and the platform definitely aren't in the, well, real echo. There were a few scant mentions of a hanging tree in my research. If it was still standing, I'd have to get gone to some film firm project. That project seems like something I was working on years ago at this point. I carefully start to climb down the slope, clinging to Carl. I'm about to call to Jenna when I stop cold. As we moved to the side, the thick trunk of the tree shifted into my field of view and revealed the noose. Unlike my dream, the noose isn't empty. Hanging from the noose is a body. Oh, shh. I can't see exactly what it is. It's back to us, and all I can make out is a head, hands, and feet, some old-fashioned clothes, overalls, and a cotton shirt of some kind. The clothes look worn and old, like they've been sitting out in the elements for years. I stop moving, instead staring at the body. Carl freezes too, and I can feel his ragged breathing in my ear. Wow. I stare for what feels like an entire minute before I find my voice. Jenna? She's also facing the body, so I can't see her face, but she holds up a hand towards me to quiet me before slowly pacing around the platform. It looks like she's moving towards the front, so I steel myself and slowly follow her. I don't want to look at the body as I move, but I can't tear my eyes away. It's old, very old. The fur is mostly gone, the skin underneath black and leathery. The face is drooping and sunken, the eyelids are closed. It's been out in the sun for a very long time. I don't know much about corpses, so I don't know for how long. I just know it's been a very long time. From what I can tell, it's a canine of some kind. A fox? John? For some reason, I look towards Jen to see if she'll let us know who it is. She doesn't, instead just staring at the body. Carl tightens his grip around my shoulders. I'm not sure if it's for support against the uneven ground or the horror in front of us. Raven has chosen not to follow. Instead, he stands back behind the platform, looking away from the body. I swallow hard, trying to keep my nerves under control, trying to look at the situation like it's a simple task. Do you guys see anything? A note or something? I try to search the platform and avoid looking up at the body. The mouth. Oh, hell no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Carl points up at the corpse. He's right. There's a flash of white in the mouth of the corpse, just barely sticking out from what looks like gnarled teeth. Piece of paper, maybe. I'm surprised at how successful I am at keeping my voice calm. I sort of feel numb to all of this now, but I think we both realize at the same time what this means. We're going to have to actually get that piece of paper. Such a tedious way of telling us things, huh? I glance at Carl. Yeah, kinda. Should we go up and grab it? But as soon as I talk, Carl's making his way towards the platform, dragging me along like I'm an afterthought. Hey, I think Chase should get it. He's the one having all the dream. Shut up, Jenna. Whoa, Carl. He clumps his way up the steps, and I feel Jenna hovering over me, behind me, like she wants to follow, but she can't. I let Carl hold my hand as we both move towards the platform over uneven ground. I notice Raven standing off to the side, still facing away from us. I have to check on him later. Oh shoot, hold on, my battery's about to die for my headsets. Hold on a minute. Okay. We're back to this really, really disturbing story. Oh boy. Okay. The wood creaks softly under our feet as we make our way up the steps. I focus on my hopping foot, not wanting to look back at the body. Once we reach the top, though, I realize I'm going to have to. Leaning heavily against Carl for support, I look up. The corpse's eyes are open now. Two yellow, piercing eyes that are sunk deep into the skull strip. Oh boy. You are disgusting. I'm disgusting. You're abhorrent, despicable, horrible. For telling us truth, for telling truths, for telling your own truth. You don't know my story, my truth. Your truth is a delusion. You cruel, filthy son of a bitch. What do you want from me? I want justice. You and your people don't know the meaning of the word. Just let it rest. Let me rest. And you'd leave me restless? Murder. You may not have killed me physically, but you murdered my life, you fucking... The otter hears us. So, if he hears us, then it wants him to. Why does it? You think I know? Why does it create these places, let us do small things and take it away? It's a game, my life. My reputation is a game to it. Ha! A game. Go on, why don't you tell him your truth? The otter works with you. I wouldn't help him even if I could. But you can't you? You're but a smoke. Good thing, too. You and your fucking lies. I will tell him this. Otter, you're stuck here because you cannot see the truth, and until you do, how will you know the truth if you only lie? You're disgusting. I'm 9 or 10, and I'm sitting under a tree in the forest. I like the feeling that when you get... Oh my god, this is like painting like really, really creepy pictures in my head. The stuffed up nose and throbbing in my head along with the feeling of just having run 10 miles. Like I've just finished something really hard now and it's over. And then, a creak in the branches above me. I look up and see a fox hanging from a rope. His dead eyes are on me. Why don't you get your ass up here and dig it out yourself then? He's awake. Chase? Big hand is cradled below my head as I stare at the horns waving around my eyes, above my eyes. Between them hangs the fox. I guess that means it's good writing then, right? Yeah, but oh my god. Like, we're talking about a dead corpse here. They're literally touching a dead corpse, right? And the eyes were closed before, and that would have been fine, but then the eyes opened back up. That is what really creeps me out. If there's anything creepier about anything dead, it's looking at the dead eyes. Especially the way how they described it too. Yellow piercing eyes sunken into the back of the skull. That is creepy. That is absolutely creepy. I don't know, there were eyes? I stare harder at the fox, but the eyes are closed. Yeah, I saw the same thing. You hit your head. That would explain the headache. My head throbs with each heartbeat. Why don't you grab the letter, Chase? Carl makes a thick snorting sound behind me like he's holding a disdainful laugh. You'd like that, wouldn't you? I told you to dig it out yourself if you want. Dig what out? I crane my head painfully to look at Jenna. She stands in the exact same spot, staring stoically. Raven has moved to stand next to her, but now his eyes are wide, staring at the fox. I turn my head around towards the hanging fox, and that's when I see that the letter is gone. Where'd it go? I push myself up, cringing as I forgot about my angle. As I try to stand up, Carl just sort of yanks me up. I keep my eyes on the fox the entire time, but I don't see any signs of life. What happened? You fell. No, the fox. What happened to the letter? He ate it. What? How? The corpse swallowed it? Huh? Frank gestures at his mouth. God. I lean my forehead against the ram's cheek as I close my eyes. So, are we not supposed to read it? Raven's voice is small and quiet, nothing like his usual self, even during the time we spent here. No one says anything for a while. I clear my throat. I think I heard John and James while I was out. What did they say? I think John and James are influencing some of this, but it's like something else is controlling all of it. How? I don't know, but it's stopping them from telling us what they want to say, like this is a game for it. I feel Carl shake his head against my head. So what are we supposed to do? Just figure out the game, I guess. They said something about having to see the truth, but I'm not exactly sure what that is. Well, John just ate our clue. How do you know if it was John? Jenna snaps loudly at Carl and the ram turns to confront her. Who else's body is this then? He's dead. That doesn't seem to matter here, does it? Guys, I point. What's that? What? That, sticking out of the chest pocket. Carl moves a little bit closer, pulling me along tentatively. Raven calls anxiously from behind us. What are you guys doing? Again with that weird dismissive grunt. I keep my eyes focused on the pocket, not wanting to look into those eyes if they open up again. Carl reaches out and simply plucks the note from the pocket. Okay, let's go. Carl quickly guides me down the stairs. Jenna's eyes what's in Carl's hand suspiciously. What's that? One of the letters, obviously. Where did you get that? The fox ate it earlier. I saw it sticking out of the pocket. I guess it was another one. Jenna goes quiet and her expression darkens. I'm about to ask her what's wrong, but Carl is already unfolding the paper, swinging the hand holding it to try to make it unfold. I help him out with my own free hand and hold the letter between us. I notice that the bottom of the paper has a rough tear like someone has torn it in half. Jenna and Raven move closer opposite to us. It doesn't look like a letter. In fact, it looks like a newspaper clipping. Well, a photocopy of one anyway. Carl, I think this came from your mom's collection of artifacts. I remember some pages were ripped out of the scrapbooks. Really? Yeah, I thought it was you taking them. Nope. I wonder how long ago this nightmare actually started. It seems like it had been setting itself up days before we fell into this place. Well, guess I'll give it a read. Hopefully this is the one. I start with a big bold title. Echo researcher uncovers town serial killer past. Most might know Trisha Henricks as the CEO of Hens Ice Cream, but Echo locals will know her to be an avid history of buff as well. I just love how it connects all of us, how it shows that everything has happened for a reason. But even she didn't realize what her research would uncover. According to Hendricks, the town's founder, James, had an affair with another man, and both may have been hiding a dark secret. You never know what you'll find out, but to think that James had a homosexual relationship with an alleged serial killer, well, it's really something. According to Hendricks' research, James may have been in a romantic relationship with a native fox by the name of John Begay. Town records indicate that Begay was accused of committing multiple child murders. Hendricks says the crimes were sexual in nature. I reach the bottom of the page where the rough tear begins. Clearly, there's more to the article, but... Jenna! I look up just in time to see a flash of steel before Carl jumps back, pulling me along with him. I'm like a ragdoll being yanked back before being thrown to the side. I go stumbling away with several yelps, each one in sync with the steps I take on my swollen ankle. I finally go down as gently as I can on my hands and knees as the pain almost blinds me. The sound of quick footsteps and gravel along with a loud laugh has me raising my head back up to see what's going on. Through the tears I see Carl dancing around, dodging back and forth as Jenna swipes at him with the knife. The laughing is coming from Carl as he leaps out of the way with the nimbleness I've never seen him have. Whoops, almost had me there. Carl easily ducks around another slash from the fox. Jenna, on the other hand, isn't saying anything. Instead, her eyes are locked on Carl, teeth grit with what looks like foam gathering at the corners of her mouth. I suddenly comprehend what I'm seeing. One of my friends is trying to kill the other. Jenna? Jenna, stop! I push myself unsteadily to my feet, trying to limp after them. But it's not much use. They're both moving so fast away from me, around me as they continue their little dance. Even Raven seems too shocked to move, backing away as the two fight past them. Carl! Jenna! I look around for something, trying to get anything to get this to stop, but Jenna seems hell-bent on stabbing Carl. You're always a terrible fighter, you know that? Carl dodges to the side again and snatches up to the wrist of the paw that's holding the knife. In one swift movement, Carl uses his other hand to punch Jenna across the face, sending the fox to the ground in a heap. The cracking sound it makes causes the fur to stand up all over my body as I limp towards Jenna. Guys, that's enough! I'm looking for the knife. I just want to get it away from Jenna before she can hurt anyone else, or herself. But Carl is already standing next to her, and he bends to pick up a rock. It's about the size of a softball, and has a pointy end on it. He points the end down and raises it over Jenna. Carl! I lunge at the ram and tackle him around the waist. He must have been completely focused on Jenna because I'm able to knock him over pretty easily. He makes an ooh sound above me before crashing to the ground. What the fuck are you doing? I push myself over the ram, reaching up above us to try to pry the rock from his hand. Desperately, I look behind me. Raven, get Jenna, get her away somewhere. Raven's standing there, pulling at his ears as he stares at the fox on the ground. Help her! I look back down at Carl, and he's staring right back at me, breathing hard. Carl? I call his name not only to get a response, but also because I'm not sure that's who I'm talking to. He doesn't say anything and just goes on staring at me, but he does let go of the rock and rolls it gently from his hand to the desert floor. Carl, let's go back inside, okay? I use a delicate tone, feeling that I'm talking to some unhinged stranger. Carl stares at me for a moment longer, then lets out a soft huff through his nose with a half laugh. Yeah, sure. You're done, right? Yes. So I'm going to let you up and we're going back to your house, okay? Yep. Slowly I get up, standing in the way of Jenna in case Carl goes for her. I look back up at Raven. Pick up the knife, throw it into the desert, or something. I lower my voice, stepping back a bit so I can lean towards the husky even though I feel Carl's eyes are on me. Take her down to the basement. I'll take Carl's upstairs. We'll figure out something later, okay? Okay. I turn back to Carl, then reach my hand out towards him. Dude, my ankle is so fucked. Can you help me get back up to the bedroom? Huh. Carl lets out a grunt and another half-laugh snort. Sure. He reaches out to me, eyes glancing down at the crumpled fox as he does. I can hear Jenna stirring a bit, so I gently push Carl to hurry our trek back to the mansion. I glance back a few times. The last time I see Raven crouched over Jenna, mouth moving as he talks to her. As soon as we enter Carl's parents' bedroom, the ram leaves me to stand next to the bed. You going to sleep? Carl turns away from me and starts to walk around the room, looking at the walls, the lights, and even under the bed. Maybe. I'm not really tired, though. Instead of sitting on the bed, I limp towards the balcony to look out the glass doors. I just barely catch a glimpse of Jenna and Raven moving towards the mansion, Jenna leaning on the husky for support. I watch them disappear underneath the balcony. Carl, I don't know what we're gonna do. I tried not to look at him. Were you really going to hit her with the rock? Carl pauses, glancing at me. No, I was going to hit her arms, make it harder for her to go after us again. I frowned since I can't really remember if it looked like that. If it looked that way. He seemed to point it right towards the head. Either way, it's fucked thinking about having to incapacitate one of my best friends. Carl starts to open the drawers in the dresser before slamming them shut with a loud snap. Are you looking for something? Carl doesn't answer, instead just pulling the drawers completely out of the dresser instead. Carl? Hmm? What are you doing? More silence. Carl! What? Carl snaps at me. I shrink back for a moment, then glare. Don't yell at me. What happened out there? Carl turns back to the dresser, sticking his head inside the opening where a drawer once was. His horns clack against the wood. He tried to stab me. What else is there to know? I sighed, looking down at my ankle. I'm startled at how swollen it is now, unrecognizable. I wonder if his sprain could be bad enough that it needs to be amputated. I try not to think about it and move to the bed, sitting down gingerly. Carl makes his way over to the bedside table next to me. I'm not talking about the way you were acting, how you were laughing and stuff. Carl shrugs his shoulders, made vague by the way he seems to be wrestling the side of the table up its corner, looking behind it. The whole thing's ridiculous, ain't it? Gotta lighten the mood with humor sometimes. While she's trying to stab you? Under the shock at remembering the attempted murder, though it's still her. Carl yanks the drawer from the table violently. What are you doing? Looking for bullshit notes. That's why we're here, isn't it? I reach out and grab Carl's arm, which freezes and finally looks at me. I swallow, trying to think of how to phrase this. Carl, are you you anymore? Of course I'm me. The ram pulls his arm away from my grasp. I shake my head. We know Jenna isn't. I guess in a weird fucked up way we're gonna snap eventually, but Carl keeps rummaging around and I wonder if he's listening at all. And I could sort of tell you that you weren't either, but now I'm just having trouble seeing you at all anymore. Carl finally sits the drawer down, looking around the room. He wipes his hand off his shorts, then slowly moves closer before sitting down next to me on the bed. I'm still me. We're just under a lot of pressure right now. You know, dude. I guess. It's strange. It's like he's someone who's trying to pretend to be Carl. That's an idea that puts me on the edge. I look away, thinking back on the attack. That newspaper clipping, it makes sense why that would set off John, right? That would set John off, right? Carl snorts. I'm not surprised. I told you earlier that they wanted to see the truth before we can leave, but that wasn't the truth. Carl doesn't say anything. I shake my head. Unless it's not... I don't know. Carl remains silent. Guess I was stupid to think James would help me. At this point, I'm equally suspicious of the two of them. Excuse me. I lay back on the bed, rubbing my eyes. I thought that letting James help us would lead us to the way out here, but... now? It just feels like I've lost a friend. Carl's hand suddenly comes to rest on my shoulder. You just upset that we didn't get to go all the way earlier? Huh? I furrow my brow. That's the furthest thing from my mind right now. But the ram just turns to me on the bed with a coy smile on his face. What are you talking about? Carl rolls over to the bed, to the other side, then reaches out to rub my arm again. What are you doing? I watch him rubbing through the fur on my arm, picking up where we left off. Carl Really? I can't help but react to the touch, despite what just happened not 20 minutes ago, despite the way Carl's acting, despite it's not Carl. Or is it? Or something seems a bit more familiar about him now. My urges are made all the worse as the ram runs his hand down my chest towards the waistband. I don't know if this is a good idea right now. I reach up to push my shirt back down. You sure? Not even a hand job? Carl pauses with his hand to my stomach, gently moving his fingers around on the fur. The bulge in my pants is obvious. Look, we should be thinking of a way to escape. Still, I stare at the hand on my body. Well, we're not going anywhere in the meantime. Besides, didn't we come here to rest? Might as well get one out while you can. I take back what I said about familiarity. Carl's unusually confident, weirdly seductive, and has my heart beating fast. Lewd, yeah. There is tiny bits, but thankfully there's no, like, sceneries where they show that. It's slightly suggestive, just slightly. Might help you get to sleep. Something feels strange in the room, a low surreal drone that makes it feel like I'm in a dream. My movements feel numb, like they're not even my own, and my urges aren't my own. It feels old and overpowering, this feeling, and Carl seems to be radiating it. At this point, I don't really know if what's normal, okay, or basically what reality is anymore. But I do know that my body wants this. Maybe real quick. Belly rubs would do that to anyone though, so not gonna. Cole presses his lips to the side of my face, then lower towards my neck. At the same time, his hand goes to my shirt that I've lowered to the top of my stomach and pushes it all the way up over my face. With just a moment of hesitation, I raise my arms up so he can completely get rid of the shirt. Carl pauses, looking over my torso again. You're in shape. I don't say anything. The way he's scanning his eyes over my body makes my heart skip a beat. I look toward the door, wondering if maybe I should check if there's a lock. Not only because Raven coming in and seeing what we were up to at a time like this would be bad, but also because Jenna seeing this and the state of mind she's in would be a disaster. How fucking immature that am I that I'm doing this right now? Carl, I don't know if this is a good idea right now. What if Raven or... What? You know Raven snuck off in the cabin to beat one nut. You deserve this. I blush. I'm just helping you out. I sigh and don't say anything as Carl starts kissing my neck, causing... You didn't see anything? Pull your pants down and I'll help you out. Fuck it. Whoop! Whoop, 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 whoop. Y'all didn't see nothing. Y'all didn't see anything. Y'all didn't see anything. Y'all didn't see anything. Y'all didn't see anything. Y'all don't see anything. Y'all don't see anything. Y'all don't see... Y'all don't see anything. Y'all don't see anything. Alright. His hand then feels up my... You don't see anything there. You didn't see anything there. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, 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 nope. Stop! I know just... Wait, what happened? Nope, 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 nope. What was that? He came. Remember that this game was called... You guys didn't see anything, okay? You guys didn't see a single thing, okay? Y'all saw nothing, okay? We're gonna pretend that that scene never existed. You bit my ear. I pull my hand away to see that it's not bleeding somehow. Carl shrugs. Oh yeah, some people like that, I guess. You don't? No. I found out how nonchalant the ram is. I mean, it was really hard. Carl wipes his hand off the pillowcase, then tosses it over me. Sorry, won't do it next time. Next time. I take the pillowcase and... Y'all don't feel... Y'all didn't see it. Y'all don't see nothing. Y'all didn't see nothing, okay? We're gonna be good boys here. We're gonna be good people. And we're gonna pretend like that never happened. Yeah, McSkinny did well describing this. Yeah, exactly. What did we see? We didn't see anything. Nothing incriminating. Nope. I look over my shoulder and see Carl laying on his back, eyes closed. He might have already been asleep before I even pulled my pants up. It's a bit odd that he's not trying to spoon me again like last time. I guess it's fine since I'm not really in the mood to be spooned. Nope. Went to take a shower, but too exhausted to check the bathroom for running water. I lay on my side, idly wondering if maybe I should go downstairs since Carl seems to be asleep, but... A familiar cackle far in the distance pulls me out of my sleep. I open my eyes to a dark room, seeing the faint outline of the doorway. Is it nighttime? Does time move in this place? I sit up in the bed, looking around. It's dark, but I can see the outlines of the dresser and the bedside table, along with the empty bed that I'm in. Where's Carl? I swing my legs off the bed and I feel lush, fuzzy carpet. My heart leaps in my chest. Am I back? I don't want to get my hopes up because of what happened last time, but this place looks exactly like Carl's parents' room. That laugh, right? I reach out to the lamp next to me and I feel around for a switch, but it illuminates the moment I touch it. And that's when I see the outline of a small person in the hall. I jump, my eyes staring out into the dark hallway. A small fox stares back. I have enough time to see the overalls, a white shirt, before it suddenly turns and vanishes into the dark. I hear the patter of his footsteps down the hall, then down the stairs before it fades off into silence. I'm backed up against the headboard, heart hammering in my chest, staring at the dark rectangle. Quickly glancing around the room again, I don't see Carl anywhere. Slowly I push myself out of bed and pad around the room, keeping an eye out on the door in case the fox came back. I glance out the glass doors as I pass through them, to the dark balcony. I can't see anything though I do see specks of light down in the town. From what I can see, it looks normal as well. Swallowing loudly, I move towards the hallway. Something seems to be pushing me forward, towards the darkness. I look into the hallway, down to the stairs, but it's completely black. Moving my hand up and down the wall for a light switch, I hit one and almost blinded by the bright light that shines down on me. I shield my eyes as I force myself to watch the stairs, but again, I see nothing. Swallowing again, I force myself forward, towards the stairs and finally down the stairs. I try not to blink, eyes wide, watching for the little fox. I don't have my hopes up that this is real anymore. After seeing the fox boy, I know I'm still not in reality, at least not all the way. Well, maybe I am back, but those things from the other side have crossed over a bit, and that's what I saw. I'm in the kitchen where I see a set of horns in the darkness moving towards the stairs before they disappear. Carl? I hurry towards the stairs, feeling again the long walls for a light switch. I hear clopping at the bottom along with the voice, small childlike voices. Stumbling down the stairs, I call out again. Carl? Jenna? Raven? I start to wonder if I've left the other three somehow. Am I alone here? Did we get separated? Soon I'm running through the basement hall towards the sound of voices. I'm at the door of the crawl space and without hesitation I unlatch the door and throw it open, to find that same small fox. I see now he's just a boy, maybe 8 or 9 years old in old-fashioned clothes. He stares at me, stoic and unmoving. I stare back in silence, then I see something. 2 towering horns materialize above the boy and I see Carl's face. Then arms close around the fox's throat and the boy opens his mouth to scream. Okay. Okay then. And they're still screaming. My body's full of adrenaline. Both in the dream and realize that I suddenly realize it's very real. I jump off the bed and immediately go down to my knees as my ankle screams in agony. I have no choice now and force myself to my feet, half hopping, half flipping my way to the end of the hallway. It's easier now that I've got walls and rails that I can half support myself on. My heart thuds in my chest. I'm still bleary and confused from being asleep just 30 seconds ago. What I do know is that I have to help Raven and probably Jenna too. I don't have time to dwell on the realization that I made a stupid mistake going to sleep, not keeping an eye on Carl. No, no, no! Stumbling toward the kitchen, I hear the screams coming down from the flight of stairs to the basement before being cut off suddenly. I feel my heart sink as I limp and jump to the stairs, practically falling down the stairs to the basement below. I squint down to the hall, unable to see clearly in the darkness. What I do get is a vague sense of movement in the dark to the left. I move blindly in that direction, not sure what I'm going to find or what I'm going to do. Carl? I feel along the wall, then I feel nothing as I find a doorway. Reaching down for a light switch, I flip it on and see that I'm in the weight room. And there's blood on the floor. I stare around in horror at the 3 big splotches as I stare at them. I think I even see them spreading. I go down to my knees, not even feeling my angle at this point. I stare hard at the floor, looking around but not seeing anyone. Jenna? Raven? I call out their names in a hushed whisper. Footsteps. I'm hit harder than I've ever been hit in my life. The cold concrete of the ground meets my face as my limbs go out from underneath me. What the fuck? The feeling of rough, dirty ground against my face makes me crinkle my nose. I try to reach up and brush at it, but my hands don't come up. My shoulders ache horribly and so do my knees. Not to mention my ankle, though that almost feels numb at this point. I saw the crack open my eyes, seeing nothing but dirt. Something has my limbs tied, and I'm twisted painfully in some sort of hog tie, my forearms stuck to my ankles. Bright light shines on me, almost blinding me with how powerful it is. I can hear it droning on, a fluorescent buzz that tickles the nape of my neck. I hear some faint clopping sounds, along with the shift of heavy boxes. I try to keep quiet as I look around, unsure of where I am, or who it is that's near me. While it's hard to see through the bright white light, I can make out stacks of boxes around me. Plastic bins, I think, is what Carl had in his crawl space. Is that where I am? I'm not sure because the bins are huge. wooden beams set up against packed earth. I always love looking at people playing virtual novels like this on Twitch. I wonder if I could tell you some. Yeah, of course. I would love to find out because like I've been really big on virtual novels lately and like RPG styled games, so that's definitely something that I want to check out. Description of the light. Ugh, it's so descriptive. I can tell exactly what the author is trying to describe. Right? Like the writing in this is really impressive. I'm really impressed with this entire story and how it's going. And okay, maybe there's a tiny bit of bad, but we can ignore that. We're in this for the plot, not the bad. Exactly. What? What writing? What writing? We don't know what writing that we're talking about. We're talking about this writing right here, right now. It reminds me of the old mines that I saw pictures of during my research. The ceiling is way too high to be the crawl space as well. All the while I can hear little giggles, whispers, and shushing sounds. There are patters of little feet underneath the louder clops. Slowly I remember what had happened earlier, the splatters of blood, the footsteps behind me. I look up towards the sound of the clopping and see the big form of a ram shifting boxes around, throwing lids aside. Carl? It sort of looks like him, but he seems bigger and more shaggy. I shift my gaze to the darker corners of the room and aghast to see a pair of eyes staring at me. From the darkness, a little fox in what appears to be a small grin below the eyes, just barely visible. Wait, can you actually see that? Oh no, you can't. They didn't paint that in. The sounds of shifting bends stops, and I hear the clock big sound coming closer to me. You awake, boy? I flinch, but pretend to be asleep anyway, not moving until the ram suddenly crouches by my head, causing me to cringe again. He feels around my body, checking the bindings before patting me on the face. I know you're awake, but it doesn't matter now. The ram stands up and starts moving away. Wait! I wince, not really sure if it had been a good idea. Either way, he stops and turns back to me. Okay. You'd think it'd actually be that light, but he definitely looks different, much bigger, and his horn's wider and more grown out. What? His voice is different too, deeper, more resonant. This isn't Carl anymore, but I guess I already knew that. What happened? My voice sounds tiny in weak comparison to the big ram. What do you mean, what happened? Carl, James, sets moving back around the bins, opening lids and tossing stuff out. Where's Raven and Jenna? You mean John? I don't say anything in response to that, still trying to look around. I keep catching glimpses of tiny feet and pairs of eyes just on the fringes of the dark nothingness. Their whispers and small giggles are a constant undertone. He's gone. I turn my attention back to the ram. What do you mean? I mean what I say, Otter. I swallow my fear, trying to let the numbness of my ankle take over the rest of my body. Where did he go? James chuckles. I don't know. I used the knife. Oh dear. Gone. James shrugs his big shoulders. How? The ram shakes his head again. I know as much of this place as you, Otter. What about Raven? Who? The dog, the husky. Carl shrugs again. Same thing. Silence drags on as the ram offers. Did he kill them all? I close my eyes, trying to not let the overpowering fear take over. Carl, are you there? No response. Another giggles to my right draws my attention. I see another fox even smaller than the first one. He dashes past the light, but his figure blotting out for just a moment. I hear a slap and then a snarl from James. Little shits! I watch as the fox disappears into the darkness. I stare for a while before quietly venturing on to another question. Who are they? Another pair of eyes dances around behind the light. James doesn't respond. I remember the newspaper clippings about the missing boys, the serial killer. Well, can't find all of them, but this is probably enough. I hear some rustling, then a huge jumble of thuds and clattering sounds as James dumps a bin onto the dirt-covered ground. The ram stomps off, disappearing behind the light. Things go quiet for a moment, aside from the distant clopping of the ram's footsteps. Then the whispering starts up again, and I feel several pairs of eyes on me. First one, then two, then 5 tiny figures appear in front of the light. I can hear more behind me. Who are you? Please. I try to cringe into a tight ball, but the bindings have me terribly exposed. They're dressed in old-fashioned clothes, overalls, denim, and some are shirtless. Maybe it's Meseta. What do you want? I close my eyes, waiting, wondering if maybe they'll kill me. It would probably be for the best. I'm tired of this nightmare. Fingers start poking at my wrists. Hey! I try to jerk away, and as I do, my left hand slips out of my bindings. I pause, then a loud bang comes from towards the light, and the small figures all disappear with the rush of wind. Goddamn little shits. James mutters from behind the light. I hear the sounds of sloshing liquid inside of a large container. As discreetly as I can, I start to try and work my other hand around, using a free one to loosen up the bindings. It's definitely closed, and they're poorly tied together. The sloshing sounds get a bit louder as James steps in front of the floodlight. Then he tips the container that he's holding upside down, and I see a long nozzle, light shining through the translucent neck. I realize what it is as I hear liquid pattering onto the pile James has made. The smell of gasoline hits me. Oh, no, 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 no. My other hand pops free as I start to writhe around, but it's my legs that I need to get me out of here. Carl, James, please don't do this. Can you let me go first? Hey Axel, how's it going? Welcome to this frickin' hellscape of a nightmare. And no, I am not cute. The blepper welcomes you angrily. But how you doing, Axel? Why are you doing this to me? He flashes me a grin before continuing to splash gas onto all the bins, walking in a circle around me. Getting rid of evidence. You're part of the evidence. You know, you know what this guy needs? Right now, we need an exorcist. We need an exorcist for this guy. He literally killed Raven and Jenna, and now he's gonna kill us. Because the devil made him do it. No, I am not. I am not cute. The whispers get more excited, the children running back and forth in front of the floodlight. I would have stabbed you earlier, but I lost it, and that damn husky would have... No! No, he killed Raven! He did kill Raven! You need to play Winds of Change? Axel, we just played that, like a few days ago. I do plan on going back to it. Okay, you guys, so I will be right back. I'll get right back to you guys as soon as possible, but I'm gonna leave you guys on the be right back screen. I'll still be in chat. So, so I will be right back. Okay, we are back. I am back from dinner. And also, to my buddy Aquos, welcome on in, Aquos. It is so good to see you again. Hold on, can I actually do... Hold on. Yeah, I've only met Ulrich and Valessa, and then Fordham. I met Fordham as well. But yeah, if you guys have not, if you guys do not know Aquos, then please go and visit them. They are an amazing person, and Aquos, I am so sorry that I have not messaged you in forever. That is on my bad. You've been playing Satisfactory. Oh, but yeah, I got some water with us, and I'm all filled up now. So let's continue with this really, really, really disturbing story. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Not the blepper face. Okay. Let's continue. James glances back at me. This is what happens when you meddle. Once Carl completes his circle of bins, he disappears behind the floodlight again. I was surprised to see him. I haven't seen him in months and missed him for a bit, but I didn't want to bother him knowing how busy he seems to be. Yeah, I guess so. I'm surprised too because, again, like, I don't think I haven't seen Aquos in like months and months. It has been quite a while. See, I had a vision at the beginning of the game. I mean, like it did like sort of jump us through into Winds of Change when I first played it. So it did take me a little bit of time to process everything at once, and I'm not sure if I missed anything, like where they were searching at the Great Tree, but hopefully I didn't miss anything there besides just that one book. Well, I think there was only one book there, no? Well, either way, we're going to be continuing that probably the day after tomorrow. Okay. At that point, I start pulling on the bindings wildly, tugging at my ankles, internally screaming at every tug of my injury. Prepare for our damn you. This time the foxes don't approach, they just watch from the darkness. Help me. I slapped with the clenched teeth at them, but they don't move. I stop struggling, instead trying to feel through the bindings, tugging here and there, trying to loosen something. Finally, I start to feel the knots shift a bit. My right leg comes free. The whispers crescendo, along with some giggling sounds. I hear James coming back, and I try to keep it twisted under my feigned hog-tie position. A glow appears in the darkness, and I see James stepping up in front of the floodlight with a lighter in his hand. Sorry, Otter, but I need to thank you and your friends for finally bringing this all to a close. Duran puts his free hand to his chest. I really thought I would spend a lot longer worrying about all this getting out, but now? He raises the lighter. I can finally put this to an end. A small figure runs from behind the light, and with a loud smack the lighter goes flying. It's flying in my direction, and thankfully goes out as it flies through the air, then skitters on the dirt toward me. I drop the facade and uncurl, snatching the lighter up and struggling to stand. I'm just in time to see huge ram charging at me, his horns down, aimed straight at my chest. I jump to the side but get clipped in the elbow, sending me and the lighter spinning through the air. James doesn't even go for me, instead disappearing into the dark after the lighter. I don't wait to see how it turns out, rushing toward the exit into the mine. I'm just a few feet away from the exit when I hear a huge whooshing sound and wind seems to rush from the exit, almost blowing me back. Breath is sucked from my lungs as I go down on my knees, covering my head as if I feel like all my fur is going to be burned off. I look behind me at the blinding fire. Carl! I cover my mouth and nose trying to breathe, but the heat beats me back like a physical force, and now everything is real. I'm in the crawl space, the massive beams are gone, the ceiling is lower, and there's no more mine. I back up into the doorway, getting blasted with smoke. Carl! I scream as loud as I can, all the while I'm still moving back, and then I see the familiar horns of Carl appears from the smoke and flames, singed, but alive. He charges at me, and I see the rage in his eyes. I might be back in the mansion, but Carl isn't. I back away into the basement, out of the crawl space, ducking low as the smoke billows over me. It looks like Carl is coming after me, but just as he reaches out, little tiny paws grasp around his waist and his chest, in his face, pulling him back into the cold space. Carl reaches out, latching onto the doorframe, snarling with rage. His eyes are wide, spittle flying from his mouth as he fights to pull himself from the grasp of the small foxes. I watch and only hesitate for a moment before I reach out to grasp one of Carl's hands. He may be possessed, and he may have tried to kill me, but my friend is still in there somewhere. And there's no way in hell I'll willingly let him burn to death. I lean back, pulling the ram as hard as I can, getting a face full of smoke as I stand to get some leverage. Carl, or James, grunts and growls, as if unsure of what to do. The little hands hold firm though, pulling back into the flaming pit behind the ram. I get weak and my lungs screaming in the smoky air, feeling my limbs start to give out. And then something gives out. And then something gives, but it's Carl. The hands pull through him, and something large and transparent gets pulled out. It flies back with a howl, and Carl flies forward into me, and the doors get closed with a snap. I fall back with a crunch, my already hazy mind almost blacking out as the ram falls on top of me. So this is like a murder gone wrong? The following events are a blur to me. I remember seeing Carl staring down at me, yelling my name. I remember a blind stumble through smoke, a dark basement, crumbling stairs, and 2 sets of bloody footprints through the kitchen and out into the night. We follow them. And then sitting in the desert, my head in Carl's lap. I watch my eyes glitter in the dancing firelight. His eyes are blank and far away. I reach up to touch his face, to say thanks somehow, and he doesn't look down. His eyes stay empty. What?! That's how his path ends?! No, 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 no. That cannot be how Carl's story ends. I refuse to believe that. I honestly refuse to believe that that is Carl's ending. There is no way in hell. Okay, and for whatever reason, the credits are lagging. There we go. Now I fixed it, but... What the fuck?! That cannot be how that ends. It can't be! Okay, why is the credits lagging? That is like the one thing that should not be lagging this entire... Definitely a cliffhanger, for sure, man. Oh my god. There is no way in hell that this can be the end. Well, at least for Carl's path, because we still got Leo to do, we still got Jenna to do, we still got TJ to do, and we still got what's his face to do. Flynn. We still got Flynn to do as well. It took us like what, like 4 streams, I think, of this game to finally finish this. We're gonna be here a while, fellas. Holy shit. Maybe each arc is a cliffhanger, but all of them together are a full story. Maybe. Oh, and also there's a song called Sex, which is amazing. But, again, we still got, like, a whole bunch of different stories to go through. So wait, so in the end... So wait a minute, in the end is Carl possessed or something, or... I don't get it. How is that the end for Carl? There is no freaking way. This was our save right here. This was our save for freaking Carl's path. How? That I refuse to believe that that is the end for Carl's path. It can't end like that. There is no way in hell that it can end like that. Okay. Well, we're going to be going on to, like, I think what was still, like, the earliest point in this entire story. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to overwrite the saves here. Because those were just paths that I was looking at, but I'm going to go with Flynn. I'm going to go with Jenna and Leo this time around. So here's what we're going to do. So this was our main save right here, right? And that was the save that we just completed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go on to Leo's route. Because I need to see my big boy wolf again. TJ. TJ did seem to head off in the direction we were fighting, though I can't imagine he'd go to the lake. I should go with him to help find the links. I'm also a little worried about Leo. It could have been a long time since I've seen him that pissed. When I get there, I find Leo leaning back with his rear up against a big boulder on the shore. Bittersweet memories flood in. That rock is almost as much of a staple of my childhood as the actual lake is. It's weird like that. Every memory I have of this place is dreamy and gold-tinged, but always has a hint of sadness about it, no matter what the situation is. Jenna's standing in front of Leo, her arms folded as she talks to him. I can't see his face, but his posture is sagging and his ears are down, looking way older than he actually is. I stand back for a while, feeling awkward about intervening at this point. Leo occasionally shakes his head, then takes out his phone to look at it. I can see Jenna getting annoyed, but then she says something and Leo turns his head to look back at me. I seize up for a second, but Jenna is beckoning me with her paw while Leo isn't looking. I start stumbling over the rocks towards them as Leo starts looking back down at his phone and Jenna starts walking towards me. Just talk to him. He'll listen to you. So, you see, that whole route that we just played with Carl, that was all like, I guess like a hallucination? But now we're back in reality and like it's like a huge change of like where the story started. Oh my god, I still can't believe that that's the end for Carl's route. There is no way in hell. That can't, no. I have a hard time believing that. I'm sorry. I just cannot believe that it ends like that for Carl's route. Ah. Hold on a minute. We gotta make 2 more saves. Okay, so this route we're gonna go with Leo. We're gonna go with that big hunky wolf right now. Sure, he'll probably listen to me, but I have no idea what to say. The rocks are actually kind of hard to navigate, especially when you don't have any protection for your feet. I'm almost to the boulder when my foot catches on the edge of a rock and I yelp and fall forward, knees first into the sharp rocks. Ah! Pain shoots up my legs and my eyes clench shut as I cringe silently. Shit, you alright? I look up and I see Leo looking down at me, his ears up now at the sound of my fall. Yeah, I'm fine. Leo frowns and reaches over with the ball, which I grab onto and pull myself up with. I make my way around him, being a little more careful about where I put my feet up as I position myself next to him against the boulder. I put my paws behind myself and heave myself up to the top of the boulder, letting my legs dangle over to the side. Ugh, I'm so damn clumsy. You're an otter. Wow, asshole! I say jokingly, but Leo's not really smiling. Instead, he sticks a paw back in his pocket and pulls out a slightly flat-looking cigarette. I give a start and stare. I shouldn't be surprised. I could smell it on him when I first got here. It's just that I'm not used to seeing him do it. He started right after I left. He pulls out a lighter, lights it, takes a drag, then blows the smoke out from the side of his nozzle away from me. You're meant to swim, not walk on rocks. I mean, technically Carl is built for that, and he's still falling down all the time. I think that's because Flynn's always tripping him with his tail. Speaking of Carl, grinning, I lean over sideways and look at the side of the boulder. I find what I'm looking for instantly. A series of chips and scratches, outlining the rough figurine of a canine with a long cape and an S on his chest. It's still here. Carl's drawing? Shit, I forgot about that. Never finished it, did he? Nah, but it's pretty good. Remember how Superwolf was the only thing he talked about that summer? Yeah, and the movie wasn't even that good. He loved it, though. Yeah, and I guess that's all that really mattered. Leo grimaces and reaches over to my knee. I went to look at it as he puts his thumb and index around a cut that I hadn't noticed until now. Blood is oozing through the fur and leaking down my shin. We'll need to clean that out. I shrug. It's not a big deal. Nah, we'll have to stop at the convenience store and get some peroxide. That's some nasty shit around this lake. It's fine, seriously. Just to be safe. I smirk. Safe? Like this? I reach up and grab the cigarette dangling from his lips. He's quick, though, and he whips his head away before taking it out of his muzzle. Hey! Don't hey me! Why the fuck are you smoking? His ears fall flat again and he glares. Why the fuck do you care? He spits that out with his mouth. He spits that out with so much venom that I lean away from him and his eyes wide. He's never talked to me like that before, and I was joking too. What? Leo quickly looks away and doesn't say anything. I stare at his face for a while, watch his eyes flick around as he just shakes his head. Are you still mad at me? Like, we talked. Of course I'm still mad, Chase. Talking doesn't just fix 3 years. All the progress that I thought we made on Saturday was an illusion. Leo's just as upset as he's always about what happened. I don't know what you want me to say. What do you want me to say, Leo? That I was wrong to leave? That I should have stayed here? Not leaving me in the dark would have been a good start. Yeah, I fucked that up, but it happened, and I can't fix that. What do you want to happen now? Leo stretches his arms out to either side of one giant shrug. So, context for anyone who doesn't know what's going on. We used to date this boy. So, this wolf that we're talking with here, which is Leo, he used to be our mate. But then, I guess we left Echo and he was still around. And so we just ended up breaking up after that. So that's the whole story between, like, these two right now. Like, I don't know. This is already familiar. 1,000 past fights flashed in my mind. Did we ever agree on anything? I slide off the bolt and Leo snaps his muzzle towards me, probably thinking I'm gonna leave. Instead, I lean one paw against the rock as I turn to glare at him. It feels better yelling at someone standing up rather than sitting down. Oh, I know exactly what you want. Oh, do you? You just want me to drop everything and come back here, back to Echo. When did I ever ask you to drop anything? I just want to know if you're coming back. How am I supposed to know that? Why can't you plan ahead farther than next week? I swear, it's always like this with you. I let out an Wow! I'm 21. I don't fucking know anything about anything. How should I know what I want? Well, I'm here. Don't you want to come back and live with me? We always planned for it. His voice softens and I pause. Thinking about it right now, it is something I would want. It's just... Is Echo so bad that its negatives outweigh my benefits? I mean... I gesture at the town in the distance, looking at the shitty and rusted as ever, then to the lake, looking as shitty and mucky as ever, then to the desert around us, looking as shitty and dry as ever. I let the scenery speak for itself. So yeah. Leo rolls his eyes. Buchica Otter. I'm starting to think you just wanted an excuse to not be around me. I'm starting to think that what Flint said was true. He looked straight at me, eyes narrowing over his muzzle, his nostrils flaring. What? I'm not obsessed with you. I miss everyone, that's all. Is that wrong? I go quiet for a while and turn to look back over the lake, squinting at the bright reflective flashes of light. It can be. But then, I don't even know if he's telling the truth. He'd never say whether or not this whole thing he planned was just for me. He doesn't even say anything, we just sit there for a while. Even for a wolf, his whole sticking together thing is a little intense. He brought us together at the very beginning, sure, but after Sydney it was on a whole different level. He barely ever let us leave his sight. That's when I noticed a dark figure across the lake, walking on the side of the road. It's Flynn, and he's heading back to Echo. I can see that Leo spotted him too, and his ears and eyes following him, but he doesn't say anything. Finally, I speak up. So, is what he said about me true? No. He says it quietly, but the answer is instant. Really? Leo takes another drag on the cigarette. Weirdly enough, I actually kind of like the smell of the smoke. I think his problem with you is that you don't act like you used to as a kid or a teenager. He's told me this before. I mean, you used to be snarky, motherfucker. Even more than you are now. My stomach sinks. No. No, Star. But how you doing, buddy? It's good to see you again. It's good to see you back with us. Me? Me? What do you mean? I'm not. What do you mean I'm horny? I'm never horny. I don't know what you're talking about. I am innocent. Gotta do some more stuffs. Well, the blep welcomes you. The blep welcomes you, Star. Oh my gosh. Me innocent? Yeah, I am. Damn right I am. I always have been. I don't know what you're talking about. The stream has been wholesome ever since we started. Don't give me that look. Listen here, mister. I am a pure and innocent wuff who only streams innocent content. And tonight's stream was totally innocent. I didn't talk about, but even I'm not. If anyone's the naughty one, it's you. Cats are always naughty. I think really the only non-naughty cat that I know of is Zorkin. But you, on the other hand, mister, you are. I know you are. Okay. Yeah. He knows what you... Listen here, mister! Listen here! I am pure, I am innocent, and I do not do the... I do not do the dirty. We do not do the dirty. You see, listen to Vox. Listen to the Vox Wolf. He knows that innocence is the key to purity. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, innocence is not cute. No. No, it is not. I see the little loophole that you're trying to find. Hey, I didn't walk into any of it. You guys brought me into it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you grew up, mellowed out. Again, my inside's twisted and I don't trust myself to speak right then. Leo gets the wrong idea and smiles, putting his arm around me and pulling up to his side. What he said about everyone was total bullshit, especially Jenna. His whole family mantra did have its limits. He's saying that, but you... What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about, mister. I do not know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, Star. I am pure and innocent. And my body is pure and innocent, too. And you don't have any proof of that either, because I can't move my body around. My body and my arms are paralyzed. I don't know what you're talking about. The fact that Leo is so defensive of Jenna's decision to leave her family shows what a piece of shit that they really are. I'm just glad he's changed the subject, though. Leaning my head on his shoulder, I let his hold comfort me. He's still watching Flynn. Chica, I can't believe he did this now. I can't fucking believe he did this now. Idiot! Idiot! Leo shouted across the lake, and if I could, I'd lower my ears like a canine. I see the small figure that's Flynn turn around and look back at us. He stays like that for a while. It looks like he's examining us. Finally, he turns back around and keeps going towards Echo. Fucking idiot. How the hell am I going to go ahead with what I planned this week? In the past, Flynn would have his blow-ups and get over it, and so would we. I don't know what you're trying to make the box see, Star. I don't know what you're talking about. He's saying he's not cute, but this wolf can't control... Wait. He's saying he's not cute, but this wolf can't control his talk, though. You see, here's the thing. This wolf that you're seeing right now on screen, this boy is a cutie. Voxwolf in the chat, they're a wolf too, and they're a cutie. But me, the dumb leopard wolf that you see on the left, that is not cute, and it never will be. I see two wolves on screen. Well, the red and black one is the one that you're gonna want to go with. You see the one that's like centered in the middle? You know the one with like the anchors right here? This is the cute boy right here. Look at him. He's angry right now. He's angry like me. What do you mean, sure? Look at him. We're both angry now. The one that's off to the left of the screen? Yeah, I'm angry too. That one's also angry. Even though I can't show it, it's angry. See? No! No! I am not. I'm not cute, but he is cute. I'm freaking dumb and scary. That's what I am. It's like he'd been chipping away at a group for years, and finally this is what broke it into pieces. Now there's no putting things back together. Maybe it would have been better if we didn't come here. It's sort of my fault. Nope, it's Flynn's fault. Stupid to blame yourself. What do you mean you knew it? You mean that this boy that's on the screen, the red boy, the red wolf that you see here is cute? I know. I know. He is so cute. Look at him. I admit myself is cute? I never said that, and I will never admit that because that is not true. And that's a fact. I don't know, we always had problems, probably because they were just better to leave things as they were. Oh, Jesus, why does everyone act like this whole thing? Echo, our friendship, is some kind of horrible tragedy? Hasn't exactly been a walk in the park. Life isn't a walk in the park. This is where we come from. Find some good in it instead of bitching about everything. Could be so much worse. Hey! What's that cheeky little smile for, huh? What's that about, Star? What's that cheeky little smile for? My parents told me stories about their hometown, and compared to where I was born, this isn't shit. He helps out smoke to his nose, not bothering to blow it away for this time, and I'm engulfed in the smell of tobacco. I mean, not to be an asshole, but you gringos have it easy. My mom got a phone call almost every month telling her they killed my dad just because they had money. Leo's always been good at making me feel like a spoiled brat. I'm sorry. His arm tightens around me, and I turn my head to rub my nose into his chest. I can smell his musk under the heavy deodorant. It's a familiar smell that I like. Don't be. I mean, we all play our cards, right? But try to be a little more perspective. He leans his chin on top of my head, and I feel like we should have some boundaries since we're not exactly a couple anymore. But this feels right. I love this town. I love you guys. I just want things to work out, not to lose touch. We had something really special. You're such a wolf. Thanks. I lay a paw on his thigh and rub it slowly, thinking, I mean, is there really no way you can leave with me? I mean, it makes things so much easier. Please don't ask that. You can't leave them. I never do that. You know this. I made you click on this. Click what? Click what? Of course I did. We argued about it over 100 times already, and I squeezed his thigh. So, are you still mad at me? I listened to Leo breathe in deeply, my head rising with his chest. No, Otter, I'm not mad. We just have a lot of things to figure out, but we will. I guess that's a good place as any to leave off, so I move on to another subject. So now that Flynn's fucked up the trip, what do we do next? He hasn't. We'll fix this. Just gotta get that dumbass to apologize. But once we do, I have a little birthday to plan. I raised my brows in surprise. It wasn't anyone's birthday anytime soon. Huh? Whose birthday? Carl's. Carl's? His birthday wasn't until the end of April, literally a month away. It's early, really early, I know, but I'm kind of limited here on the ideas of what we can do. I guess that makes sense, so when's that gonna be? Wednesday. We need to buy the stuff tomorrow and I have the day off. Leo looks at his phone again. Speaking of which, I need to drive you guys back so I can get back to work. Well, alright, I'm not doing much else tomorrow. I should be working on the project, but I've got plenty of time. Leo slides off the boulder and turns back to me. I'll ask Jenna and TJ too. I'll let Flynn cool off for a day. You know where TJ went? Yeah, he just texted me that he wanted to be left alone, which I understand. I get off the boulder as well and Leo reaches a paw out to me. And this time, watch where you're walking. Hold on to me. It's probably a good idea. Oh? It's a clip. God, Tuesday. It feels like so long ago. Hey! What is this? Hold on a minute. Fox, what did you do? Mic mute? Yeah, I did mute the mic for a bit. I don't know what you did. I don't know what you did. Ah, you sly little devil. You sly little devil. Yeah, you're innocent alright, but I know what you did. That's actually pretty smart. I like that. I like that. That's smart. Wheelie, welcome on in. Thank you so much for the host. The Blep welcomes you. Dang, I wish I could have like voice acted. I wish I could have like VA'd that for that one clip. Payday Mall is tiny compared to the one in Pueblo where I go to school. It's only got one floor, maybe 20 stories. Whoa! Whoa! Hello, Raiders! Whoa! Hello, hello! Gray Sunday with a rate of 6. How's it going? Whoa, I didn't expect a raid tonight. How's it going? Welcome on in, Raiders. Welcome. The Blep Squad welcomes you. And as you can probably tell, my Facebook isn't open because it would most likely crash the stream if I tried to. But I suggested you. Mystic, thank you so much for bringing everyone. Okay, but you know what? Maybe I should do like a proper introduction. So we're gonna go to like intermission screen right now. So yeah, as you guys can probably tell, my Facebook isn't up because again, it would crash the stream, and Facebook uses up like a lot of resources already. Yeah, Let me shout out Gray. Yeah, welcome on in, Raiders. My name is Spitfire the Wolf, and I am a variety streamer. I love like a lot of music games and challenge games and puzzle games. I'm slowly starting to get into like visual novels like this, and then like some RPG games. So that's definitely something that I've been having fun with lately. We're playing VR chat. Oh my gosh, you played VR chat? How fun! We should meet each other. We need to see each other in VR chat sometime. And thank you so much for the follow. Hey, I'm not cute, but how's it going, Darius? I'm doing fantastic, great. And again, thank you so much for the raid. But here's another thing I want to share with you guys and all you raiders is that we do have a server up and open. It's free for anyone to join. You'll all get to know when I stream and when I have some important stuff going on. So yeah, if you guys would like to join, then the link is there. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming by, and thank you so much for the raid. And yeah, let's continue this. Okay, I think I had the volume like right here. I think. Also, if the volume's up too high, then let me know. She seems a bit set at Luma. It was cute, and no, it was not cute, but I will admit it was lit. But I've actually got some news about a set, Darius. Is that I'm actually trying to work on a new one, but I have no idea like what I want to do with it yet. I'm thinking maybe like I can try to bring like some old tracks from that first set back into like this new one, but I have no clue yet. Yeah, great. I was at Ferality Luma. I was the DJ there for the first day at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Saw your Twitter spit? What'd you see? Oh wait, you got the set all downloaded for you, Darius? Yeah, I did. I did DJ for Ferality, and it was absolutely fun. It was an absolutely magical experience that I don't think I ever want to forget. Because everyone turned me into a blubbering mess there. But yeah, everyone turned me into a blubbering mess. I freaking cried at the end because everyone came in to like group hug me at the very end. And what's also cool too is I checked on my Mixcloud today, and it turns out that I'm actually on like a bunch of charts now. So I actually got, I think it was 25th on the global mashup chart, and then it was 23rd I think on the mashup chart, and then 25th on the trance chart. But let me actually link you guys a tweet to where I posted the set at. I'm gonna have to find some video of it. Okay, so fun fact, there was one of the staff members were there at my set, right? And out of the 42 DJs that were there, they were the only one who recorded footage that were from their perspective and their point of view. So that was cool, which I do have. The footage that they got was right before it transitioned into Easy by Porter Robinson and Matt Zoe. So it doesn't have the full thing, but you'll still get like a feel for like I think like 95% of the entire set. I gotta go have fun. Stay safe. Okay, Mystic. Bye bye. Thank you so much for stopping by. It really means a lot. But yeah, that whole set was freaking magical, and I definitely want to do like some more sets for other events. Like my buddy Mist, he tagged me in a post for IFC, who is also doing like DJ openings. But the thing is that like I'm stuck on a creative block right now because I'm trying to think, maybe I should keep the same style or to go back or, to maybe keep the same style, but to also have like my older elements of like songs into it and mixing, which I do actually plan to do for the next virality if it ever happens, because I know like it's a biannual thing. But I just got to figure out what I want to do with this next set. And hold on a minute, I'll be right back. Let me close my window for a second. Okay, we're back. Okay, so yeah. Um, Besides all that, and besides, oh wait, um, Gray, if you are still here, actually, you know, if we ever do want to meet each other in VR chat, then that's gonna be my name. It's literally just my Twitch name except without the zero, because someone freaking stole my name on on Twitch before I could get it. So Spit for the wolf with the zero for the O is gonna be what it is. Also, I'm gonna be fully vaccinated on this. Oh my gosh, yes, yes. Oh my gosh, Darius, I'm so happy for you, man. Dude, when you get fully vaccinated, you're gonna feel so good. It's gonna feel amazing. Like trust me, it definitely does feel amazing, and I do feel a lot safer now that I'm fully vaccinated. Um, one more one more set of news before we actually begin. So my buddy from Slovakia is gonna be coming down, and depending if I can get a better system to like run pretty much everything, then you guys actually might see me on VR because they said that they have a Rift S that they don't use anymore, and it says that it's working fine too because they moved on to an index now. So I mean, maybe, just maybe, like VR streams could be a thing now, because I haven't done it in like forever. I haven't done a VR stream ever since like my early days. But yeah, that's all the news I got for now. Let's continue on with Echo. Okay, let me actually drink it. Let me actually hydrate a little bit before we move on. Okay, here we go. Still, it wasn't a bad place to hang out back when I was in high school, mostly because I had a movie theater. So, where do you guys want to go first? First, we only need to go to one. You sure? I mean, maybe we should help him branch out. He knows what he likes, it's fine. Well, alright, lasers it is. It's one of those kinds of stores where it looks like a radioactive clown jizzed on everything. Well, there's a lot of weird porn here. Think Carl would like that? I'm not really sure what Carl's into when it comes to that. I think he likes the paws, honestly. Why don't I just box up my foot and put a bow in it then? Porn? Really? Let's just stick to comic books. We both look at him. Everything okay, Teach? TJ's been in a bit of a mood ever since he woke up this morning. He didn't talk the whole drive there, instead just browsing through stuff on his phone. He's just salty that he isn't roasting on the trail right now. No, this is fine. I'm fine, guys. TJ smiles to show us how fine he is. Yeah, sure. Well, Leo's driving us halfway up after this, so you're still gonna to get yourself a barbecue. Okay, Aquos, you take care, buddy. But yeah, it was great seeing you again, and we definitely need to catch up because there's definitely like a lot of stuff that I want to catch up on with you. Yeah, you stay cool, Aquos, and you stay safe. Okay. You don't have to go if you don't want. I know if it would be very fun if you were upset the whole time. It wouldn't be very fun. At this point, Leo turns to me smiling. You going with them? In this fur? On these legs? I lift a foot for him. No, it's over 90 degrees today. Yeah, best leave it to the land mammals. So, Leo claps his paws together loudly. Let's split up and pick something out. I think it'll be fine if we keep it under 20 bucks. As everyone wanders off, I look around. I'm not sure what I should get him. He doesn't seem excited about much unless one of his comic books is being turned into a movie. Let's look at action figures. I move further towards the back of the store to action figures, which is where TJ is. He's turning over a toy gun with his paws, his ears down. I walk up next to him, pretending to look over the wall. Finding anything interesting? TJ shrugs, pulling the trigger on his gun a few times. It's definitely a weird-looking gun. It's pink and the muzzle is perfectly round, the end tapered. That's when I realize it's a... Beautiful. I'm alright, just a little tired. While he looks over at me, his brows raised. You feeling it better yesterday after Dale? Yeah, a bit. Just wished it hadn't happened. Of course. So you're not going with me and Jenna on the hike then? I guess not. Leo said he might need some help setting up for the party at his house. I mean, he sort of promised me, but I guess that's alright. Oh, you haven't seen it in a while, so it's good you guys can have time to catch up. Oh. CJ lifts up the penis gun and points it at his face, squinting an eye and looking down the barrel. How the fuck can he not tell? He must not know what a dick looks like. Wonder what this is from. Do you think Carl will recognize it? Oh my gosh. This boy is too freaking pure for this world, I swear to god. TJ is too pure. He starts pulling the trigger several times, blowing the fur back on his fist before opening his mouth. I reach out and push it down. I think that's just a novelty item. You should get something else. Oh, okay. I can tell that TJ is unhappy, but there's not much that I can do about it. I wander up towards the opposite wall where all the posters are. Leo's standing there looking over the display board. I stand next to him. You know, I think every inch of this wall is covered. I don't know if there's any more room. Has he put anything on the ceiling? I don't think so. And there's room. Well, alright. I guess I'll give him Lucci. I don't think he's got one of them. I look over at the masked wolf, his arms crossed, bare chest and abs stuck out on full display. I waggle my brows. Sure, that's why you want him. Leo grins down at me. Oh yeah? Sorry, but he's not my type. I like my guys a bit more simple. His tail slaps my ass. Well, I like him. I love muscles. Leo squares his shoulder and flexes. His biceps bulge into the nearly size of my head. Like these? I feign indifference, shrugging. I'm more into the cut, like Lucci. Leo frowns, but I take that moment to slap him in the butt with my tail. Because it's not as flexible as his, I have to turn my body into it and practically thuds it into his ass. Leo yelps and stumbles forward into the posts with a loud clatter. Whoa, calm down, boys. Jenna walks up behind us and stands next to me, her arms folded over our manga with the dough and a schoolgirl uniform in the front. I look sexy, Jenna. Good pick. Jenna rolls her eyes as Leo reaches into the posted bin with Lucci still in it. So I'm pretty sure he doesn't have this one. TJ follows up behind Jenna, a small figurine of Trinity Weasel in his paws. I laugh. Of course you get that, TJ. Hey, it was a good price and he's kidding, TJ. Anyway, maybe it'll help him take another look at that movie. It's really good. I realize that I'm the only one that hasn't picked out a gift and I look around anxiously. Right in front of me is a rack beanie of beanie caps. One of them has bloodied and decaying zombie face printed on it, its teeth bared on the brim. I assume it's to make the wearer look like their head is clamped inside. I think Carl likes zombies. I snatch it off the rack and hurry up to the front with the others. I am not cute, Darius. I am not cute and I never will be. I am a dumb and angry blepper. How's it look? I asked TJ as we're walking through the parking lot. It looks good, I guess. No, I mean, does it look like a zombie badger is eating my head? Oh yeah, it looks great. He gives me a thumbs up. Ah! I pull it down over my face slowly. How do you think we all do it in a zombie attack? I lift the hat back up over my forehead. Like, who would die first? My eyes fall involuntarily on TJ. Me? Why do you think that? Well, maybe not. You're pretty fast. I just kind of imagine you'd be curling up in a ball. That is not cute. Darius, that is not cute. Dumb and angry blepper wolves are not cute. And they never will be. Never. Never, I say. But Honestly, I'd be the first to go. I stick out a leg. Look how stubby these are. Psh, I'm the fastest and I'd carry you. You wouldn't have to worry. Oh, really? I look over at Jenna and she sees that she's got that gleam in her eyes that always puts me on the edge. Pretty sure I'm faster than you, Leo. Leo smirks. Pretty sure my legs are way longer, way faster than yours, Jenna. Jenna sticks out her bag with the manga in it at me. I take it slowly, trying to catch her eye so I can shake my head frantically at her. Leo sticks his bag out at TJ, almost punching him in the nose. TJ jumps and gingerly takes it from him, frowning. This is a parking lot, you guys. Are you sure it's a good idea? But Jenna and Leo have already taken up their position side by side, leaning forward. Alright, to that lamppost. You're on. Count us off, Chase. How is this proving anything? Don't you need to be carrying Chase? Alright, ready, set, go! Leo actually gets a bit of a head start since he anticipated the go, but Jenna catches up right away. In fact, she's 10 feet ahead of him just 5 seconds into the race. I can hear her laughing as she I can hear her laughing as she gracefully speeds ahead, her tail whipping around like a flag as she zips off toward the horizon. Leo, realizing he's going to lose, is frantically flailing his arms around and his ears and head down as he charges forward. I'm actually surprised by how bad he's losing. I mean, he used to play football back in high school, so he's had some training. With his head down, I guess he shouldn't see the curb right in front of him, and his foot clips over it as he passes. I hear the yelp, then see him careen off to the side, then roll to the asphalt before slamming up against the tire of a parked car. TJ gasps and covers his eyes. Oh my gosh! I'm already running up to where Leo's fallen. He's sitting up against the tire, one paw to his head as he grits his teeth in pain. Hey, you right? Jesus, you hit that hard! I kneel down next to him, and the second he sees me, he grins and quickly scrambles up, brushing his paws. I'm fine, just tripped a little bit. I can see spots on his paw pads that are skinned and bleeding as I wince. Jesus Christ, Leo, that wasn't just a little bit. Jenna, having noticed that her competition had eaten shit, jogs back to us and her paws on her hips. She breathes heavily. Wow, you okay, Leo? I'm fine. Want to try that again? Stupid curb got in the way. Nope, you've been banged up enough as it is. You're fucking bleeding everywhere. I should probably drive. I'm fine, Chase. Leo rolls his eyes to show me how much he doesn't care, but I see that the insides of his ears are bright red. There's a bit of an awkward silence, only punctuated by Leo and Jenna's breathing. Finally, Jenna walks up next to me and puts her paw around my shoulders. Well, now you know who's more likely to survive a zombie apocalypse, Chase. Remember it. She leans her head up against my shoulder, and I cringe as I see Leo's smile turn icy. Alright, cool. Let's keep going. I wiggle out from under her arm. You guys need to get your hike. The drive back is only a little awkward. To her credit, Jenna does try to apologize to Leo, but he just waves it off like it isn't a big deal. I can tell by how he's overdoing the cheerfulness that's not the case. We drop TJ and Jenna off halfway up the trail, which happens to be right next to the highway. Once we're alone in the car, Leo starts messing around with the CD player. You might remember this. As the music fills the car, I'm immediately transported back to my high school days. Jesus, is this carpet stains? Yup. Leo's grinning at me, occasionally glancing towards the road. This was a band we listened to together in my junior and senior year. You still into this stuff? I'm saying it's nostalgic. Because I like this boy. The music carries a lot of memories for me, and the fact that I hadn't listened to it since I've been in this town has made it all the more powerful. See, here's the thing with, like, music. And that's also the thing that I was going for, like, in my set, is that, you know, when you listen to music, like in your earlier years, like you're thinking like, oh my gosh, like this is the coolest shit ever, or you know, like this is something that I definitely vibe to. But then you know, like once you grow older, and then you listen to like the stuff again, it's like, wow, you know, like there's so much nostalgia going on here. Like that's the kind of stuff that I like. I love listening to like the old type of like music all the time, because it really just proves to you, you know, like where like the quality in music has gone, and you know like the type of production that you know people used to have back in the day. Sure, the music is simple, the lyrics are embarrassing, but I miss it. Maybe. I think I could be if I listened to it again. Me too. As we drive, I mouth the lyrics under my breath. You haunt everything in my life. I see in the clouds in the sky so blue. I see your outline in my screen door too. Finally, we pull up to Leo's old ranch-style house. It looks the same as if it always has, though the landscaping has definitely taken a turn for the worse. Leo parks and we both get out. I'm busy staring at the driveway, thinking about all the times I walked across it when a gravelly voice pulls me from my reverie. Hey, who are you? I jump and look to the right, spotting a thin and angry-looking raccoon. He's standing right next to some bushes, trimming them up. His yard is desert, landscape, and looks pretty good next to Leo's property, which is nothing but weeds and a sagebush. Behind the raccoon is an old and rusty-looking trailer home. Thinking back, I'm pretty sure that a really old mouse used to live here, but this guy's a raccoon and looks pretty young too. I hear Leo walking quickly around the front of his truck, stand next to me. Hey, Good, this is Chase. Remember what I was telling you about him? Leo puts his arm around me. Good's demeanor changes immediately when he sees Leo. Oh, hey, Leo. This is him then? Good? My voice is just as incredulous enough to be offensive, and the raccoon notices. His already scowling face gets even more scrunched up. I'm not exactly from around here. Oh, really? No. We stand there for a few seconds, so Leo grabs my arm. Alright, glad you two can meet. We're actually in a bit of a hurry. Got a party to plan for. The raccoon watches us all the way to the door before Leo finally closes it behind them. Really, Chase? What? It's a weird name. I sniffed, but instead the scent of candle smell I thought I'd get instead met with the erratic smell of cigarette smoke. It doesn't look the same either. It's all a bit empty compared to when I was last here. It makes sense, I guess, with Leo's parents and siblings gone. I tell him what a great guy you are for the past 2 years, and this is his first impression of you. Oh, I'm sorry. What happened to that old mouse guy? Charlie? He died a few months after you left. Could moved in a few years ago. Oh, well, he seems a little, grumpy. He is, but he's a good guy. He's been through a lot. Leo sets the bags down on the kitchen table, pulling out the cake and gifts. So why'd he move here? He said he likes the isolation. He works in Payton. Something's happened in the city and wanted to get away. Leo ruffles through the plastic cups and gifts. I forgot what country he's originally from. His full name is Kudzu. How old is TJ again? I think he's 20, but he doesn't drink anyway, if that's what you're wondering. I don't know. People change a lot in a few years. Anyway, let's go to my room. Gotta message Carl. Leo's room is small but cozy. A little cluttered but clean enough. That actually looks pretty clean. Cleaner than my room, actually. I walk over to sit on his bed, looking around at all the posters, most of them related to football or hip-hop muggles. He had most of these since high school. Kept the same room, huh? Your parents' room is bigger, isn't it? Yeah, well, I'm used to being here. It would be kind of weird hanging out in my parents' room anyway. Besides, he plops down next to me, bouncing me up and down on the bed. I don't really need the space. So what do you do around here? It feels kind of empty. I'm really only here to sleep, otherwise I'm on the computer. You know, porn. He looks at me and grins. I look over at his computer. It's got a nice chair and I can guess what the box of tissues in. We're gonna pretend we didn't see that. Instead, I see 3 holes punched right through the drywall. Around those are several more, less successful dents in the wall with some knuckle-shaped features. Holy shit! Leo's ears fall flat and he lets out an embarrassed laugh. Yeah, that's my fault. I really get into my games. I stand up and walk towards the wall, examining the damage. Leo stands up too, clearly uncomfortable. That was a few years ago, though. I don't play that game anymore. Damn, Leo, you're fucking crazy. I poke a finger through one of the holes, realizing that punching through the wall with one try wasn't anything to sneeze at. And strong. So you still got that temper of yours. Hey, I don't. It was just that one game. He's got his paws on his hips, glancing down at me. I mean, what if I was standing here? What would that have done to my face? I put my face in front of one of the holes for effect. Leo blanches like I had slapped him. Hey, don't talk like that. I would never. I know. Sorry, it's just funny how angry you can get sometimes. I mean, your phone looks pretty new. When's the last time you broke one? Well, okay. The damn thing wasn't loading right, and he frowns. Why am I being interrogated right now? Hey, you want me to live here. I think I have a right to be concerned about my personal property. I only broke your phone once. I spread my paws out. More than I broken anyone else's phone. Yeah, well, I never pretended that I cheated on some. Oh. Yeah, well, high school, you know. I know. Anyway, it's nice to have you here again. He reaches out and pulls me into a one-armed hug. When I pull back, though, I notice a cut on the side of his arm. A few more on the back of his paw as well. At this point, the fur is clumped together with coagulated blood. Man, you really wiped out. Huh? He looks at his arm. Sorry about that, you guys. But, who wants some golden dragon fruit? Because, Mom actually just sliced some up for me right now, so... So, I mean, like, I've got a few slices of golden dragon fruit, so if you guys want any, then by all means, please help yourself. Oh yeah, and I should clean up. Hey, get on my computer and gun, see if Carl's online. Leo talks to me as he's walking out the door into the hallway. I should be logged on. Ask him what he's doing tomorrow. We need to plan this out right. Okay. I sit down on the chair and wake the computer up. Sure enough, Leo's already logged into his account. I look into his friends list, seeing that Carl is idle. I send him the message anyway, then lean back into the chair, almost freaking out as it leans back way farther than I thought it would. Dragon fruit, isn't that most dragons? I mean, it's mostly dragon. You see, I'm thinking that maybe the dragons grew like, I don't know, like seeds, and that's how they got their name. That's how dragon fruits were made, I think. Maybe. Who knows? But what I do know for certain is that these things are freaking expensive as hell. And for good reason too. They're exotic fruits. But, you know, on hot days, you know, especially like today, you know, like where it was like in the 90s, it actually feels really good to eat them. Okay, I don't know what the context of this one is, so, okay. I send him the message anyway, then lean back on the chair, almost freaking out as it leans back the way farther than I thought it would. Must be all those jerk-off sessions Leo's had. I drum my paws against the desk for a bit, then look back towards the door. Leo's probably going to be a while, and I'm curious. I grin as I first check out his bookmarks. Social media litters the first few slots, then there's one called Mech Forums and another called Mechanics United. Then, of course, there are a few sports and football-specific sites. Finally, I get onto one called Gay Vids, and then another one called... Okay! Interesting! I click on the History tab. Next. I scroll through it for a while, the first 50 or so relating to some DJ or hip-hop artist. Finally, I see the word cock and I know that I'm looking at one of Leo's porn sessions. We do not see that. It's pretty standard stuff. Ass, ball... The results spill down the window. The scroll bar is small enough that I have trouble clicking on it to pull down. Was Leo only into me because he had an otter fetish? I started to feel a little depressed as I scrolled through the results, and that's when I noticed another pattern. At least half of the results have wolf in the search phrase, and not just that. The nape of my neck prickles as I scroll down to the hundreds of results, but that's when I hear the door open in the hallway. I jump, first covering the screen with my paws like an idiot, then quickly exiting out of the window. Except that doesn't work. With the sheer amount of results I get from Leo's shame must have been fucked up with the CPU somehow. Desperately, I bang the mouse against the desk as I hear Leo's heavy footsteps down the hallway. I swear, there was a cut on my back, but I can't reach it. Fuck. I mutter under my breath, heart pounding in my chest. That's like 7 years ago when my mom caught me looking at geek porn. Leo walks in, the computer screen still hopelessly frozen. Can you help me get... Leo stops mid-sentence as I look up back at him, the guilt on his face pretty damn obvious. What did you do? You know what? I try to stall and turn back to the screen, clicking furiously on the X. Hey! And just as he's walking up behind me, the window disappears. Wait a second, what were you looking at? I swivel around in the chair, grinning. Nothing! My voice squeaks. Leo stares down at me, an exasperated smirk spreading across his muzzle. No, not nothing. What the hell were you looking at? Is this something I don't know about? He keeps on staring at me, but I get up and pretend to stretch, moving towards the bed. Oh yeah, there's something you don't know about. But now I know about some things. I switch my tail behind me a few times, teasing him, but mostly I'm just relieved I didn't get caught. I hear him move, but I can't react that he's on me. He grabs my arms and shaves them behind my back, then shoves me forward, falling on top of me on the bed. I grunt loudly as his weight pushes the air out of my lungs. Looks like I'm gonna have to get out of you the old-fashioned way, Otter. I struggle a little, but there's no way in hell I'm getting out from under Leo if he wants me to stay there. Hey, get off! He clutches both of my wrists in one paw while he digs the other into my side. I gasp and writhe desperately, bouncing up and down the bed while he pinches at my ribs. No, no, please, I don't know anything. Uh-huh, sure, now what were you looking at? He leans in hard on me and I feel his hot breath on my ear nuzzling it, only making me laugh and squirm harder. Huh? While I'm sure Leo is curious about what I was doing on his computer, I'm definitely sure there's another reason why he's doing this. I can feel it against my ass as he rolls around on top of me. Before I can really think about that, he lets go of my paws and the tickling stops. I only have a second of reprieve before both of his paws dig up in my armpits. Practically squealing, I ride around, managing to get on my back now that he isn't laying on top of me. It doesn't help much as he goes straight back to my armpits. I can't take it anymore. Oh, right. Just searching your contacts to see if you were hooking up with anyone. Tickling stops and I'm left gasping for air while Leo just looks down at me grinning. Oh, a little jealous, huh? Maybe a little. Huh. Leo looks genuinely happy about that, his paws spread out to either side of my head as he grins down on me. I take my chance and shoot my paws up to his sides, digging in. He yelps and curls up and he falls on top of me. Again. I don't relent though and keep wiggling my fingers around his body. Obviously he's letting me win, but it's still fun seeing him melt into a twitching pile of giggles. He rolls into the side of me and I get on top of him, pretending to wrestle him down like I've done hundreds of times before. He playfully fights back, but he's grinning up at me with a dopey, tongue out of muzzle expression. He bleps too! Do you guys see this right now? Playfully fights back, but he's grinning up at me with a dopey, tongue out of muzzle expression. He bleps! Oh my gosh! I can't believe it! He bleps! Please tell me that we have a screen of him showing that. Please. On a whim, I plant my knee into his crotch. I'm not sure why, probably to let him know that I knew, or maybe it was just a way to get back at him for getting off on this. He yelps again, this time a lot more loudly, and folds up, pushing me off to the side of him. Hey, fuck! We both lay there side by side, panting and sweating a little, my head resting on his arm. I guess it's a genetic wolf thing. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, dogs do that. Dogs do that too, so they had to get it from their ancestors, which is us, the wolves. I think I won that. No way, I got you to squeal. And you cheated when you crushed my dick. Leo reaches over to me to turn a small, complicated-looking fan on his bedside before flopping on his other arm over his eyes. As I stared at the fan, I noticed something else next to it, and I gasped loudly. What? Is that a fucking gun? Oh, yeah. It's real? Yeah, of course. I turned my head to stare at him. Why? You just leave it out here in the open? I never thought of Leo as a gun person, from when he told me he hated guns. Well, my dad has a bunch, and when he left, he gave me one for protection. Wow, do you really need it? A few people in this town, well, you know. I think I know the people he's talking about. Have you had to use it or something? I mean, it's just sitting out here. Leo shifts, bouncing the bed. Let's just say some people need convincing when they're trying to cause trouble. I'm about to ask more, but Leo holds up his other paw. Not now, I'm tired. I'll tell you about it later. I go quiet, but it's hard to not stare at the gun. The concept of owning one is just so foreign to me. So what's with that fan? I'll change the subject. Leo looks confused, then over at the fan. Oh, it's a humidifier fan combo. I get nosebleeds a lot. Ah. I close my eyes and lay there against Leo. This is probably a bad idea, I know, but it feels good, and I'm tired, even after the discovery I made on his computer. I guess I'm just trying not to think about that right now. The fan drones softly. Leo's arm moves under my neck, and I feel his paw come up and start brushing at the tuft of my fur on the head with his thumb and index. I wish he would style this again. When I had a spike? That was stupid. I liked it. I feel myself dozing off as his fingers start brushing my forehead. I feel the coolness of his anchor bracelet through my fur. Sometimes I think I'm going crazy. Huh? I'm barely awake at this point, the fan blowing on my face and Leo stroking, feeling his warm body next to mine. I saw you here last week outside my window. That registers a little weird, so I come back out of my doze a little. Oh? Yeah, I just looked out and I saw an otter just standing there. You think it was just another otter? Well, Leo yawns and turns his head towards me, snuffling at my ear. There's only one other guy. Remember Dale? He's fat though. Could have just been someone that was lost, right? Maybe. I went out and I didn't see anyone. Well, sometimes people see things. What's this?
Self-voicing disabled.
Oh yeah, I forgot that in like some of these like novels, like I keep forgetting that V is supposed to be like voiceover and it's not to unmute. But yeah, I love that clip. But this boy just misses us. That's what makes me sad is that he just misses us. He just wants to come back to us. Sometimes people see things. His arm tightens around my head and gives it some sort of hug. Well, I hope I'm not seeing things now. I roll my eyes, but his words remind me of something. Just like a bad dream, I'll be gone when you wake. But I swear, even if this was fake, I'll never forget your face. I sing a few lyrics from one of our old emo songs, but that's when I hear Leo snore, so I give my pleasant drowse and sink slowly into sleep. Alright, are we in the... Oh, hello. I feel a presence in the room, and it's angry. Chase! I jolt awake, but I can't open my eyes. Chase. Finally, my eyes open, but I can't move. I can only wiggle the tips of my fingers. Just try to hide. I dare you. I flinch. The voice is right in my ear. I'm still in Leo's room, still in his bed, and I can vaguely make out his body out of the corner of my eye. The room, I thought, though, it's tinged red. I hear clicking and see the monitor switch on. I see myself bent over, tail raised, naked, looking back at my camera and my face warped. Dark holes bloom over the eyes, and all over the image like it's burning. A tarantula crawls up over the foot of the bed and starts making its way towards me. I gasp my nose as I can't open through my mouth. My heart beating so fast it's shaking the bed. My fingers wiggle as I try to yank myself awake. The massive spider only moving closer as it crawls over to my foot and onto my leg. The weight of the spider is real. The way it's disabling my shirt as it crawls into my stomach is real. This is real! No, 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 it's not real. I've had this happen before. It started happening when I took the night shift at the grocery store next to the campus. Very common, very normal. People have to have it happen all the time. I just close my eyes and wait it out. I do that, squeezing them shut as tight as I can, trying to find comfort in Leo's presence next to me, his arm still under my head. I feel the spider on my chest. Its weight so much more than it should be, but it stops there. It doesn't approach my face. But then I feel something else, another presence. It's coming from the right side wall where the window is. Something's looking through it at me. I just know it. I'm not opening my eyes though. I know if I do, I'll see something that will freak me the fuck out, and the spider's bad enough. I hear tapping. Whatever it's tapping at the glass wanted my attention. It knows that it's there. It knows that I know it's there. And it wants me to see it. What the fuck? This was lasting way longer than it should be. What if I'm stuck? Am I stuck? Am I gonna be stuck in Twisted Leo's spider room dimension for the rest of my fucking life? He's mine! My eyes fly open, already pointed towards the window, brace myself. But it's empty. The sky's tinged red from the sunset, and so is the room. My dreaming brain exaggerated it to make it look like the color of blood. The spider's gone, and the angry presence is too. I sit up slowly and rub my face, feeling exhausted even though I just slept. With the humidifier blowing right into my face, I can feel the tiny droplets of water that collected on my waterproof fur. It'd be impossible to fall asleep again after that, not only because of how brutal that sleep paralysis was, but because I still don't feel right. Yeah, that painted a very vivid picture. While the spider and the thing in my room were gone, the other thing outside the window felt like it was still there. I look out the window again and see nothing, but still, I can't shake the feeling that I'm still being watched. Okay. So, I think that's actually a good point to stop for today.